I don't feel
Bro, Brian, I met Mook to holy shit,
another
it's gonna be
story. But
12 years.
welcome
Damn, I moved.
everybody. You know, we had this title for a minute. You know, we're gonna get into religion, and you know, we got Jimmy who's been studying different forms of religion. You know, for a minute, and we got B-Rad who's informed in a lot of stuff. So we're just gonna get into this. You know, I was born. You know, my dad was basically every religion under the book. He was a Christian. He was a Muslim. He was a Buddhist, and I think he actually was born a Catholic. But then he's now a Rastafarian, and that's basically how I was raised as a Rastafarian. You know, and we have our own beliefs. It's a form of Christianity, some say, but you know we have our own beliefs and things like that. Uh, you know, so I wasn't heavy in the religion, but I have religion. You know, I believe in a higher power, and I do believe that somebody's watching over us. You know what I mean? But that's my history with religion, a brief little history. Brian, what's up with you?
What's going on, everybody? Rude boy shot us. Anyway, yeah, no, I was raised pretty religious by my parents. I was born and raised Irish Catholic. Two Irish Catholic parents from the Bronx. They were pretty broke growing up, so they pretty much spent their entire time in the church. So a very, very big thing. So I was raised with that and made my confirmation later than most people do. My parish made our confirmation at 17 years old. And at that point, I decided to step away from the church. It was my choice at that point, and the reasons for that was because I wasn't living that lifestyle, and I wasn't going to sit in church and pretend to be something I'm not. You know, to sin, knowing that you're going to sin, continuously sinning, is an unforgivable sin in our religion. So I stepped away, but I still revert back to it heavily, especially as I get older. I don't really vibe too well with the Catholic Church as an organization, but never said anything about having to go to church. Just said keep holy the Sabbath day, and I do that.
Okay, so you grew up strict religious household. Okay,
Definitely.
Big Jimmy.
Hey, you know, me, man, of course I grew up Catholic. My mother was very religious. She was a religious, she was the head of a religious school for St. Leo's and devoted, you know, woman. And I just, while people were reading the Bible and taking the Bible as gospel, I sat back and said, something's wrong here. And something was never right. And I started reading back to almost 300 BC. They're not quite sure of the time the Book of Enoch came out, which was a very interesting book. And the minute I started reading the Book of Enoch and started reading segments of the Bible pertaining to the Book of Enoch, I saw that it was structured around stories. So, you know, to me, I found out that this really is just a bunch of nonsense. And I began to look at the proof. I didn't want to just, I don't try to take guesstimates on things and try to say, oh, yeah, I know everything. I don't know everything. And nobody knows what happens when we die. But I'm going to take Marcus Segre and all these great writers who studied, who have PhDs way beyond my knowledge. And I'm a real nerd. I like to know everything. But when I started reading the Book of Enoch and then how the Bible came about in 66 AD, I discovered there was Richie Forsyth, Edward Brodsky, and Mark Edwards from the University of San Francisco who said, wait a minute, slow down. You start to look at how the terminologies were written when they found the Dead Sea Scrolls and they were reading the writings of the Jewish people from Masada. It was about Armageddon. I don't think, nobody's going to tell me that somebody 2,000 years ago was writing, hey, you know what? No, none of this shit's going to happen now. It's going to happen 2,000 years from now. No, that's insane. Because right now, we're not thinking 2,000 years ahead. We don't even know if we're going to survive.
Some people are.
Well, hey, Mook, who? All right, who? What are
Scientists.
you talking about? Analysts or theoretical? Theoretical theoreticus. I could never say that word. But they're saying what this might be happening with the Earth. We're talking about religion. They're talking about the evolution of the Earth. Like 2,000 years from now, they know that it's going to raise a heat wave, and we're heading for another ice age. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can understand that, but I'm talking about religion, bro. There's no way.
I thought the whole thing with Christianity is Jesus is coming back in the
Well,
future.
wait. I listen. I'm not a Christian.
That
I'm more
rapture.
of a. Yeah,
Well,
but
Armageddon can be based on cataclysm. Like, we had the Younger Dryas could have been the cause for the last cataclysm, and that's the way God destroyed the earth with water. And they say next time He's going to destroy it with fire.
yeah, but wait a minute, my man. When
We're
you're
getting way ahead
talking
of
about,
ourselves.
yeah, but you're talking about people at that time that thought when there was a thunderstorm that the gods were angry. When the
Oh,
volcano
100%,
erupted, they
100%,
thought that
100%.
the gods are angry. When Nile River, which is what is really described as the flood, the Nile River overflowed maybe 100,000 times. The Mississippi River, which developed way after the Pangea, of course, but that river dried up hundreds of thousands of times. The Antarctica was a tropical rainforest hundreds of thousands of times. And if you look at how the Bible was written, especially the New Testament, you'll see that it was written in 89 AD, way after Jesus. So it's not the word of God, it's stories of people. Okay, here's another thing. Palms is in the book of the Rit Mira, if you ever read that, which is the oldest religion in the world, which is Hindu Ma. It became Hindu Ma, then it was Hindu. But when they took that stuff, all palms and all the proverbs were taken out of the Rit Mira. The story of Jesus is not the original story of the Immaculate Conception.
Been told
So
25 times over, at least 25
Well,
times
bro,
over.
listen, they took it from the story of Horus, son of Osiris, who was born of a virgin. This is 1300 AD.
I'm very well aware, but what I'm saying is that there's over 25 different religions that have the exact same story of on the
Yeah,
winter
exactly.
solstice.
Every god was born on December 25th. So
Look,
what it
it's the
is,
winter solstice. It lets you know when you're supposed to plant your crops and all that shit.
yeah, but when you look at it, um, there were journalists back then, man. This was all about making money. No matter what, we did
No,
not
it's about
change our
control.
premise.
It's about
You know,
control.
Brian, we didn't change our premise, Mook. Everything evolves. We learn from mistakes, but everything back then in the Roman times was about money and control and what captain killed that guy to get his sergeant in over there and control more territory and payoffs. It's the same shit. It's the same shit. But when you look at how the storylines are put together, almost 90 years after the so-called birth of Jesus, which they have no proof at all of Jesus, but they morticize.
Jesus may not even have existed. Basically, what you have to understand is with religion in general, but especially the Catholic religion, it doesn't matter what the story is. It's a guideline. It's a guide for how to live a life, and it's based on faith. Do you think as humans we could even have a proper understanding of God or God's will? No. So even if Jesus Christ is a made up character, like say William Wallace was, right? But like he's a real guy, obviously. But I'm just saying, like he's just a character, and he's put forth in order to have us have an understanding of uh, a celestial being, the creator, something we can't even begin to fathom. Can't even begin to fathom a God and how that works and how he works through us and miracles and things. So like whether or not the Bible is true
So wait,
makes no difference to me.
we're
Hey,
saying
listen, man.
Jesus doesn't exist. We're saying.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying whether he did or didn't. Doesn't matter to me. Doesn't matter to me. It's having faith in something. But no,
You
I
know
believe
what?
Jesus exists.
But you know what happens with faith? You know what happens with faith? Faith is very dangerous, and our forefathers said that. Thomas Jefferson said we are better off having lighthouses. There's more effective efficiency out of lighthouses than there is out of churches. Our life as human beings, to know how precious life is, okay? Because every single war and everybody that has died in the name of God.
Yeah, but
So
no
this
God would ever allow that shit to happen. So those people are heretics.
Well,
Off
that's
rip.
what I'm saying. I'll tell a Christian, people argue with me all the time and, oh, God answers his prayers. I said, well, what about the 6 million people in World War II, the Jews that were praying to God? Where was God then? Okay, so and what about World War One? What about 1914 when we had the Heteric? Women were getting raped and killed in the streets. Nobody even knows this shit.
Absolutely,
And
but if you remember when from reading the Bible back when before you turned to atheist, converted, whatever, at the end you have Judgment Day, 7 years of trials, tribulations, hell on fucking earth, man, and you got to go through all that shit. You got to keep the faith, and if so, then you will be, watched
but
for
let me
sin
ask you
and
a
accepted in
question.
the kingdom of heaven. No, you got to suffer a little bit to get the good part. But
Hey, listen.
on the other
Hey,
hand,
listen, I've gone from rich to poor, rich to poor, rich to poor, rich to poor several times, and I stuck through it. But it wasn't a God that was helping me; it was me and my mental mind and my focus and my strength that got me through that. And I don't think we need a God. And I think that religion is causing us to circumvent into, oh, you know what? I don't give a fuck. Do this and I'll do that. But you know what? God's going to take care of me when I die. Look, the Muslim religion is, the radical Muslim religion is morticized for death. And so
that's
they
a
love death
complete
as we
abuse of
love
the
life.
Quran. That's a complete
But
abuse of the Quran. They're abusing the Quran, and they fucking know that shit. They're abusing that. They're twisting it.
yeah, but bro, guess what? Do you know when the Muslim religion was invented?
Yeah, like 6,000 years ago or some shit like that.
No, 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 no.
No,
600, are you ready for this? 689 AD. 689 AD. It
wow.
is the newest religion, and everybody thinks like you. The oldest religion in the world is the Hindu religion, the Hindu Ma. The Hindu Ma was the written mirror where everything pretty much in the Bible was put into that book. And then in the book of Enoch, this is why it's very puzzling and why in the Bible, if it's God's word, the earth is the center of the universe. No, we were creating this. Oh, we look at us. We're on this planet. We are the center. This is God's. No, we're not. They were going to kill Galileo. The Catholic Church was going to kill Galileo because he said, "Hey, wait a minute. I discovered Jupiter." And I found out that we evolved around a sun. The Catholic Church was going to murder him. Leonardo da Vinci.
Well, the Catholic Church has murdered tons of scientists
Oh
and,
yeah,
and,
bro,
and
absolutely, man.
mathematicians and
It's
all
to
So
this
which one
day.
is a bit more vicious? Because the Catholic, is the oldest religion, right?
that.
Or besides the one Jimmy just mentioned.
No,
Well,
Judaism came first because Jesus was a Jew. So the
So
Old Testament,
Christianity
Old
came.
Testament in my religion, the Old Testament is the Torah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the Torah is old, but it's the Hindu and the Ritma Mara were written 2,000 years before the
Yeah, but
Jewish
the Indian
religion
culture
even.
had lots of books. They had the Bhagavad Gita is a major book of theirs. What else do they have? I've actually read some of these shit. Like
Well,
religion's
bro,
fascinating.
listen, they wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls. They wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls when the Romans took 9 weeks to make the hill in Masada
And they took
to
the obelisks, right?
kill them all. And I got to tell you the truth. The back then, if you went to Israel and you walked from Masada to Tel Aviv, and that's approximately maybe 50 miles, well, guess what? You would see thousands and thousands of people hanging on a cross.
Absolutely, but they never nailed them to it. They only tied them to it.
Well, some of them they did. The ones that they caught stabbing the Romans, because you know how that all became. You know how that all came around. That is the Armageddon, because the Romans came down and said, "Oh, you want to kill my citizens of Rome? You could not touch a citizen of Rome." Rome came down with hundreds of thousands of soldiers and just started hanging these people. The ones that they caught that were stabbing, they got hung on the cross with nails. But a lot of them they let to die and rot and just starve and suffer. Yeah, it was
Shit was
bad.
medieval, man, no doubt. Like shit was crazy back then, but there's still cutting people's heads off in the middle of the desert to this day.
Yeah, and so when they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, and that was the beginning of the Revelations. And first of all, if you want to know something, okay, here's another thing to tear down the Bible. Remember the seven horsemen?
It's the four horsemen.
Well,
Four
no, it's the
horsemen
seven. The
one black, green, white. They each
no,
usher.
no,
They each usher in a
these,
different. It's seven seals.
not
It's the
the
seven
horsemen.
seals of
These are
God.
the seven. What is
Seven
that?
seals. Seven seals.
Yeah, that right. I'm sorry. The seven seals. Okay, the seven seals represented the seven Roman hills of Italy, and that was written by all of Greek. Aristotle, Socrates, these people were writing about that because if you said anything about Rome, you were flogged, you were killed in a second.
Sure.
So that was a disguise written, and that's Greek mythology. And Greek mythology was writing that about Roman. That's the Roman Republic. The Roman Empire came later, but at the time, the Roman Republic was they ruled everything.
They just took all the
But
same
you
gods and
could
just
not
renamed them.
say, you could not damage, but every one of those plagues and everything was about Rome. So the seven seals meant the seven Roman hills of Italy, and because there are the seven Roman hills, you can look it up. So that's another thing. There's a lot of mythology in there. Even in Ezekiel, they talk of spaceships. You can tear the Bible apart. Nobody's going to tell me that somebody was traveling in a big fish's mouth for 3 days. It's just insane. And a talking snake, that story was taken from the Ottomans. Okay, so hey, that's a great story. You're a journalist and you're writing the Bible. Man, this is awesome. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's a lot of symbolism, and you have to understand the reason. Look, again, like I said, the entire story behind, the birth of the Son of God through the Virgin Mary. This is all. It's all basically to explain a story, so it's easier to just remember this wild story. Plus, it's there to keep people under control, to keep people from fucking running amok. You know what I mean? But
Well,
in the end, it's
bro,
not a bad thing
what
to live
you
your
mean
life.
is fear. Right,
What's
but
that?
Yeah, but
what you mean is
people that are
fear.
more religion,
Well-
people that are religion, are they not more positive than the average atheist? The
Absolutely.
average
No,
atheist
no. Hey,
usually
listen.
dark,
Okay,
depressed, dealing with death, and it's real cynical. Am I
What's
wrong
wrong with
about that?
believing?
you're very wrong. I want to tell you something about atheists, and I know a lot of them. They're very educated people.
Of
They're
course.
doctors. They're lawyers.
It's science
They're
based.
people that have, one FBI agent friend of mine has a PhD in psychology and a very, very smart guy.
Yeah,
And
I'm not
yeah, but
arguing about that.
no, but he's an atheist, and I'm more about life. Mook, you see me? Do you see how I am?
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I'm about love
even
and
religious
peace.
people, like I said, I was raised with religion and I believe in it to a certain extent. You know, what I mean, I'm not a fool. You know, what I mean, I'm very well aware of what these stories are and what the science is behind it. And they didn't understand things back then. The average person couldn't explain away a lot of stuff that we can today. But when it comes to push to shove, if my life's threatened or something's going on in my life, I'm not going to sit there and wait for God to help me. You know, I'm going to do something. You know what I mean? But in the end, if you have faith and you believe in something, it's not terrible. It'll keep
and
you
a
from doing
religious
awful
guy will
things.
tell you that God gave you the power to do something. God gave you the
Absolutely, God empowered each and every one of us, and just
yeah.
just because the story might not be real, or like I said, how, like, if God were to speak to us as humans, if let's say God is 100% real, God were to try to speak to us, probably wouldn't be able to hear him. You know what I mean? Like, it'd probably kill us, to be honest. I'm just saying, like, how could we possibly understand the word of God? It's just a tradition. It's just a story. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
but it's
pageantry.
making
It's pageantry.
people. Yeah, it's putting people in fear. It's putting people in hope.
No,
Period. If
it
you,
makes people accountable and it keeps people in check. And it's not a horrible way to live your life if you follow Jesus Christ. If you live
hey,
it a
bro,
different
what
way,
about the murderers in the
Mhm.
mafia that believe in Jesus Christ but go out and kill
but they're
people?
full of shit. That's a venial sin.
So I think, honestly, Bly, the whole thing is full of shit. I'm
No,
being
I get
very
it, but I'm
honest.
saying, like, I'm not out here whacking people in God's name. You know what I mean? If you're doing
No,
that,
no. I only know that my sensei from when I studied Vada, my sensei had cancer, and I was like, holy shit, I was so upset. But you know what? His strength through studying what he did, and me and him, you're going to get better. You're going to get better. I wasn't focused on it, but through his weakness and through him being the fear of that, he completely turned into God. He's a born again Christian now. He's actually a pastor.
Yeah, I know him.
He probably bore witness to a miracle.
Chris, right,
life.
bro?
Yeah,
Chris, man.
Good guy. So, Jimmy, let me ask you, when did you decide to become atheist? Did something happen or what?
No, it was when I guess before my confirmation, so I had to be 16 years old. This is 1976, and I just started questioning things, and like I would ask my mother, I'd say, "Hey, Mom, let me ask you a question." "Oh, don't think like that and don't do that." The more she said that, the more I went to the library and started reading up. And when I was studying, like when I went to college and started studying ancient history with Italy and Egypt, I was like, holy shit, the seven Roman hills. Yeah, there was like all these writings from Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, which were war engineers. Everybody thinks they were artists. That was something they did on the side. But listen, I'm going to tell you something else. When the Medici family took Michelangelo Mook, they took him by the arm and they brought him to Rome. And when he painted the Sixtine Chapel, which is the most amazing thing I've ever seen, when you look at the center, a doctor in 1955, no one knew. Julius II was questioning, what is this veil around, God? What is this veil? And he said, that's like a protective dome, but it wasn't. It was the right temporal lobe of a human brain.
Yeah, that's the pineal gland, actually.
Yeah. And when I started studying this shit, I started reading about this. His teachers, Michelangelo's teachers, and the professors in the University of Naples, and I mean in Rome, this guy they brought him around like soldiers went with him when Michelangelo was going to Sorrento or he's going here. He had an entourage of like 500 people. This guy was like a deity, man.
They believed he was divine to an extent.
Yeah, but all his teachers, it said in the book, if you read a lot of Roman literature, they were saying it's all bullshit. It's all this. They do this and they make money, and Michelangelo was taught. So if you look, you'll see Julius II sitting in a chair, and you'll see Michelangelo giving him these two fingers up, like we would look at it as a peace sign. Mm-hmm. But back then, that was giving a guy the middle finger. That was like, hey, Pafangul, fuck you. Yeah, but you'll see him doing that to Julius II. And Julius II questioned him. He had nudes in there, and they made him paint over it. But I recommend that you go and see it. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thought. But for me, man, we're the elements of the earth. We have a fish's heart, which still no Christian, oh, that's not true. Yes, it's 100% true. We do have a fish's heart. We did come from the water 500,000 years ago. We come from a vertebrate fish that began a sequence of salamander before the great dying and before the Carboniferous, way before the Permian extinction. Yeah, man, we are known, and once the dinosaurs died, we began to grow, bro. We have proof of that. We can date it back to 6 million years ago, but we're still learning a lot of shit. But no, man, again, like the church was going to kill Galileo. So if that's God's word, then why such nonsense? Why written such nonsense? If it's God and God is telling you what this is.
Well, things are not black and white, so I kind of understand, like, there's reasons for everything, and it's not just, that's bad to kill them, and there's reasons for everything. Somebody got a question for you, Jimmy, though.
Yeah.
The Council of
Nicaea,
East 87. He's a friend of the
channel. Shout out EST. Shout out Yellow. Shout out Jayon.
He's a part of the channel. He said, ask Jimmy about the Council of Nicaea.
Hey, listen, I don't read. I never read about the Council on Nicaea. I heard about it, but again, I never structured around it. I was always more about the Book of Enoch and how the Christian Bible came into pass and the separation of John from the church.
Well, the Book
So,
of Enoch is a book that's not recognized by the Catholic Church. That
no,
all
of course not, because but it was well.
because it's all
Again, this
based
is
on rules, and they didn't like that shit. But that doesn't mean
no. They
anything.
well in the Book of Enoch it said he's an imperfect God.
Of course, no, but there's also 7 other books that they don't acknowledge. But there's also stories about Jesus Christ. You hear about Jesus Christ being born as a child. Next week, then we catch up with him. He's a 31-year-old man.
Yeah, exactly.
There's lost stories about Jesus Christ, but he was like 12 or 13 years old. Him and his next door neighbor, who was his best friend, they were up on top of the roof of one of their houses, and apparently this is what I've read about. But Jesus pushed his friend off, and his friend fell off the roof and died, and he didn't want to get in trouble. And that was the first miracle he performed, was bring his friend back so he didn't get in trouble. Now that's a story
man,
they don't tell you about, but something I read about.
I want again
That's the start
back
of God.
then.
Perfect as well.
Yeah, but back then they didn't have television, and they didn't have there was amphitheaters, which was created by the Greeks. So everything was about fantasy, bro. And again, I revert back to them, the people back then, believing that when a volcano erupted, they thought the gods were angry.
You have to understand these. Look, even if the Bible is 100% fabricated, it was made as a story that could be passed on by word of mouth by uneducated simpletons from fucking thousands of years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, science and mathematics.
You mean almost like Trump supporters?
Yeah, or the Dems. Either way, they're all full of shit.
Yeah, bro. Listen, my man, the world, Brian, the world is full of shit, and Mook will vouch for this.
The Vatican is the richest state in the world. The richest state in the world is the Vatican. That's disgusting right there. So of course,
did you ever go to Italy?
For thousands of years for a long time too.
Mook, Brian, you were never in Italy, right?
Never. I
lived in it. I lived in Italy for about a year and a half. And I could get paid. I couldn't get a visa to work there. So what I did was I was working with the Bonsante family. And when you see all the shit that goes on and all the stuff that they don't want you to see, because they want you to remain in a weak state of mind. Again, politicians and people don't want you to know that they're atheists, because they all are. Obama was an atheist. But again, you got to put your hand up, because we're number one in religious radicalism. We're the only one that hold true to that. And again, when I lived in Israel, there's 214, I believe. I'm not too sure. I forget the number. There was over 200 religions there. And it was a congregation. Every one of those people in that city knew, like, why are they banging their head against the wall and putting a block on top of their head? To me, I don't think that it's just it's something that's beyond nonsense. It's really radicalism.
It's to control the masses. That's 100% control the masses.
Yeah, but bro, so you have to.
And when I stepped away from my religion at 17 years old, when I stepped away from the church, this had a lot to do with it, because I'm not stupid. I see these things, and I mean, I see the evil that men do. I see the corruption within the church. It's a pretty terrible man. The church. They lost a lot of faith lately. But what I will say is, in recent times, I've seen things take place in my life that I can't explain, other than to say potentially miracles. And that is the difference between someone who has faith in their religion and doesn't. Is you've witnessed what you may believe to be a miracle. Now, I'm not talking about moving mountain type stuff, but I've seen things happen in my life that I can't otherwise explain, and I don't believe in coincidence. I really don't. So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing about faith, is like, it's blind belief. And I'm not cool with that. If I can't see it or touch it, I don't, it's not real. You know what I mean? But goddamn, if I want to be wrong on Judgment Day, I'd be pretty pissed off. You know what I mean?
Hey, but wait a minute, man. If there really is a God,
I understood it. And I understood that even if it's wrong, even if it's not true, it's not a wrong way to live your life, because the way it states in the Bible, if you follow it to the point, killing is not cool. So you can't kill somebody in the name of it. I don't care if it's for your country or none of that shit. You need to suffer a horrible death. You can't kill somebody. That's the bottom line. See, people misconstrue and twist things to the way they want. They say, if God be for us, how can anybody be against us? No, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. It's not like that at all. But again, like I said, I'm still trying to figure it out. But I still have faith. That was implanted in me. I've listened to this for many, many, many years. I've learned many, many, many stories from the Bible. I've also, like I said, I'm fascinated by religion. I've done a lot of research and had a lot of talks with rabbis about the Jewish faith as well. But they have a different understanding of our book. They have the same book as we do. The Old Testament is the same thing as the Torah, but they explain it completely different. And they actually believe Jesus Christ was a real man. They just don't believe he was the Son of God, but they absolutely believe he was a prophet. And that's facts.
How do we explain "thou shalt not kill" and then we got the death penalty? We'll
because
kill
that's
you
church and state, man. That's church and state. Who the fuck said the American government or any government has anything to do with any religion? It doesn't. Just because the people who are in it pretend to be religious and they let a Christmas tree or a fucking have an Easter bunny come to the White House, it don't mean shit. These people, fuck these people, man. They're Satanists to begin with anyway.
My man, do you guys know the element of people that have intelligence in the United States is only 8.7%? I want you to listen to what I just said to you. The richest people in the world, who are most of the most intelligent people in the world, or the most manipulative people in the world, is less than 10%.
And they pray to Moloch, the owl god, and shit like that. I mean,
well, yeah, bro, absolutely, Brian. But when you have,
they got their stupid fucking fake religion too. You know what I'm saying? Like they got their bullshit, their stuff that doesn't make sense, or maybe it does. Who knows? I mean, all I know is that the one thing that they said in the Bible that always brings me back is the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing people he's not real. And I've seen fucking evil in this world. In fact, it's just about the only thing you can guarantee you can see every day is evil. So if evil exists,
as an atheist, Jimmy, do you believe in the devil? Because you don't believe in God, but do you believe in the devil?
No. Listen, my man. No one knows what happens when we die, but damn, if I think God's playing a game and I think religion is playing a game, or are we just calling each other through signals or sending a camel over to go talk to what this one believes in, that everybody theoretically takes the same story? And why was the Immaculate Conception put into the Bible in 324 AD? Why was it not put into its conception 270 years prior to that? So it became too questionable. Everything was just questionable. Again, Armageddon, the whole concourse of the revelations in the Bible is Greek. I mean, I'm talking about even going into the Byzantine period, it was all French. It was mainly Greek and it was mainly Israeli writings. This was Armageddon. This was all written for first century Christians. Broski from the University of Ohio, he has 6 PhDs. This guy does not leave. I want you to listen to this guy's life. He does not leave his dorm or his library. He lives on the campus, and this guy has 6 PhDs. He said that the reason of our demise as human beings is that a religious sect has overcome our ability to control our emotions and our mind into looking at something with explanation instead of listening to somebody amplify it through their voice. So if I tell you, Mook, yeah, that guy's no good, and you start to believe he's no good, that's what Broski's referring to. The person should be saying, he's no good? Well, why is he no good, man? Why are you saying that about the guy? I don't know the guy. I can't say if he's no good or not. He has to have the ability to question that. So even if there is a God, is he really going to be that pissed off at me because I'm saying, hey, man, why is this in the Bible about your son Jesus when it was Horus's story and Mahavishnu's story and Hare Krishna's story 600 years? The Ottoman god, Hamenyets, and who do you have? That's the Kush people, which is now Syria. Yeah, man, there was crazy shit going on. These were all storytelling stuff that was ripped apart, put together. No, let's not take that story. Let's put this in there. Hey, Matthew, his writings. These are all interpretations. It's all a bunch of nonsense. The Bible can
So
be ripped
The
apart
Bible is all stories that
100,000
are passed
times, man.
down. The Bible is all stories that are passed down and written by the apostles. Majority of the books.
No, bro, that's not true at all. And I want to
In the
tell
New
you
Testament.
why.
I'm talking about the New
Because the
Testament.
apostles,
I'm talking about the Old Testament. I'm talking about the
Brian,
New Testament.
yeah, but the apostles died way before
No,
the
they wrote
first
it and passed
century.
it down, and it continued on because
No,
apostles
it
still
wasn't
exist to
passed
this
down.
day. This apostles still exist to this day. There's still
Yeah,
apostles out there
my
bringing the
man,
word of God to people.
yeah, but Brian, I want to explain something to you. The apostles were not writing anything about the Immaculate Conception. This is 324 AD. This was taken by people, and also where they also wrote 200 AD, where they put into the Bible. This was not anything said by any apostles, because we don't even know if the apostles really existed.
Well, there's 12 of them, so it can count for the 12 seasons. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Or 12
I
months, not
know, bro.
12
But
months. That's it.
don't you find that ironic?
12 months. No, in fact, I think that's what I'm telling you. I think it has a great base because, like I said, like
A
yeah,
great base of what, though? A great base of what?
because like I said before, all right. So you have 12 apostles; those represent the months, right? And it's this whole religion. I already understand that this is based on, like I said, Jesus is born on the 25th of December. That's the winter solstice, right? Then all of a sudden you have the three kings who showed up like a month later on Little Christmas, and they brought the gifts to Jesus, right? That's actually when the three stars align or some shit like that. They come. It's three stars that actually come up, and this is all based on telling you when you can plant your crops, when you harvest your crops, and all these different astrological things. So like this story is deep. You know what I mean? It goes deep. It might not be word for word about real people. It could just be pageantry, but there's in my opinion, there's something behind it. I can't explain it.
Well,
You know, I
Brian,
can't
do you know
explain
where
it.
the story comes from?
Definitely something behind it.
And like I said, I know there's 25 other religions that use the exact same story, the exact
No,
same
well,
stuff.
let me. It comes from Egypt.
Yeah,
It
but I
comes
think
from
it comes from
Horus.
even further.
The
I think it
first,
comes
the
from even further
first
than that.
known one, the 79 Jesuses that were before Jesus. This story that you're explaining and the alignment was done by a tool that the Egyptians invented called a grammar. And you could look it up. It's a grammar. It's what they used to align the pyramids. It's what they used
Same thing
to
with the Anthropocene
astrologically
theory.
align the stars and the whole story. But if you look at the hieroglyphics, not even the papyrus or the handwriting in Egyptian, which was really where it came from, before they did the hieroglyphics, that's the story.
Yeah, but
That's
I
not
think all
Jesus'
that comes.
story, but that's what I'm saying.
I
It's
believe all
something
that
that
comes
was
from way
thrown into
before
the
that. Stuff.
Bible because they wanted it to be magnificent.
Of
No, let's
course.
throw this in. These are a bunch of people standing together, priests, non-priests, that were creating the Bible. Hey, you know what? The earth is the center of the universe. The Bible was changed literally, they estimated about 1,000 times, because through the period of 200 BC to 640 AD is really when they kind of finalized it.
Yeah,
And
and the Quran has at
that's the
least
time of
20.
Galileo, and Galileo said, wait a minute. Oh, we got to take that out. Well, wait a minute. Isn't that the word of God? Come on, man. It's all trying to make people have hope. This is all about hope. You know what? I don't need hope. I'm going to make it happen. I'm gonna
Of
make.
course.
Like my whole life, I had went through transitions in my life. I'm an atheist. I don't need a make believe, mythical something.
You
You
know,
know.
there's a lot with each religion, even like the Catholic, how the priests using the little boys, and they've been doing that forever, probably, and that's been their tradition. Like, and then with the Christianity, you got a lot of uh, preachers that's robbing the whole
Yeah.
community, telling them lies that they don't believe, telling them stuff they don't believe, and getting them to give them all their money. You go into the Muslims, you got dudes killing people, smashing planes in the buildings, and saying they're going to heaven and banging all the versions that they can. You know, you could
All in the
dissect
name of
a lot,
God.
and really, there's a good reason to go Jimmy's way. You know what I mean? When you're thinking about the way they use these religions and the evil that comes with it. Now, what do you guys think is worse? First of all, like the way the preachers rob the community in America. You said this country is the most radical, but I'm not sure because you got the Muslims and they'll fucking blow the whole town up in the name of Allah. You
Oh
got some
no,
of the
no, Mook.
radical Muslims, some of them, not all of them.
The
And then
Vatican
you
is
got,
bad.
Yeah,
these
but
priests
Mook, I'm talking
who've
about
been.
in the populace. I'm talking about in populace. We have almost 500 million people in this country, 440 or 460.
340.
Yeah, so yeah, something like that. I know it went down, but 90% of these people are radical religious people. And if you take that population of the Muslim population, even from India, you got to understand there's two ways to take the Quran. India doesn't take it that way. Pakistan doesn't. Syria, on the other hand, Jordan, on the other hand, there's a lot of radical. Iraq, yes, you got the ISIS, you got there. Those are the radical Muslims. But if you take the majority of radical Muslims, it's not a lot. That's why ISIS was defeated by the U.S. Because they were too small. They couldn't handle the force of the United States. Iraq,
Yeah,
either.
Muslims also live by Sharia law, which is their own fucking version. It's like a subset, you know what I mean? And it's bullshit. A lot of
But
it's
why
nonsense, in my
they
opinion.
love death? Yeah, bro, they love death, man.
They also like,
These are
raping little
people.
kids
The
and beating women and
radical
stabbing
Muslims
people.
love death.
They
We love life. They
ignorance.
love death.
They love ignorance too. They love the stoppage of intelligence through their women, so they can't basically walk away from them. They keep in fear and shit. And look, a lot of religion is fear based. I get it. I'm not
Bro,
saying.
do you know why the Muslims have the women
dress?
dressed like that?
Because they don't want
Do you
nobody
actually
touching
want to
them.
know the real
That's
reason why they're dressed like that?
No
Why?
clue.
So they themselves don't have the temptation
Well, women in
to
their
look
religion are
upon
only
a
used
woman
for
in a sexual way.
women are used for reproduction only. Other than that, sexual enjoyment, small boy.
Yeah,
Small
the
boy.
Hasidic
That's all
Jews
it is.
hold out the thing with the blood on it and stuff.
That's
Yeah, man. Listen, it's just, to me, this is just real. It's radicalism. Any religion is a cult. It's a cult, and it's radicalism. And again, we would all be better off if religion was not in it, because I don't think we'd have a purpose of knowing, hey, you know what? I'm going to fight for this, but wait a minute, man. This is it. Let me enjoy where I am. Let me love my brother, and that's my belief. I
right,
don't
but the
have I
religion
don't
I
have a
was
belief
raised
in a
on.
God, but I'm the nicest person you want to meet. I'll do anything for anybody, man.
Right,
My
but the
friends
religion
call
I was
out.
raised on doesn't tell me to hurt anybody. It only gives me a solid way to live my life. And if it's wrong in the end, I wouldn't go to hell for it. But if it's right, I just might be able to get into the kingdom of God. And you know what?
Okay,
It's a
let
chance
me ask you
I'm
something.
probably willing to take, to be honest. And
Okay, let
again,
me.
I sin. I haven't been to confirmation. I haven't been to what you call it. I haven't been to a confession in like 7 years. Last time I went to confession was because I beat the brakes off this kid on St. Patrick's Day down in the city. I thought I killed him. That's why I went. That's it.
All right, Brian, let me ask you something. Now, were you protecting yourself when you did that?
Yeah, no, I was convinced I was going to prison. Yeah, 100%.
No, but I'm saying, were you protecting yourself against this guy,
You
or?
weren't picking on them.
I was defending a family member.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So you
I was
did
lied
something
to.
in
It turned out I was lied
self-defense.
to. Turned out
Yeah,
I was
if you
lied
did
to.
something in self-defense, why would you have to go talk to somebody that you
Because I
think
was because I was
this
lied to.
invisible person, or the
That's his
person
religion.
that's telling you to do 200 Hail Marys,
We can't.
Hail Mary, Hail Mary, Hail Mary, Hail Mary?
It turned out that the person I was protecting had lied to me. But also on top of that, regardless, even if I hadn't, I still hurt somebody very badly. Very badly. And that's
So,
regardless of the reason. It's not cool with me.
in karate, we learned a thing, especially with the Zen. It's and this is an Indian thing. It's the harut, and the harut is about you being the master of your life and the master. Nothing goes right. Everything has a challenge. Sometimes we have to face adversity. Sometimes we do things we don't like. Did I like doing that? Absolutely not. But you don't need somebody to look down on you that's not going to do anything for you. And I
No, but it's
mean
not
that.
bad to follow a set of rules that I'm not smart enough to have made up for myself, and not like not rules necessarily. I'm just saying guidelines to living the potential better life. And if it promises eternal life in the kingdom of heaven, it's not a terrible way to go.
Yeah,
Doesn't
we're
What do
not
you
mean
here
think
to try to
heaven is?
convert each other. We gotta respect each other's religions and everything
No,
else.
no. Listen,
We're
that's
just
fine.
exploring.
I
I
don't.
respect everybody's religion because I'm fascinated by religion, just like I am history. And I think I
Well,
know a lot of it's pageantry. We can't all be right. And if
So
somebody is
Jimmy,
right, it's probably somebody in the Amazon, like 30 guys in the Amazon believe in some weird stuff. That's
I
probably
never want to talk anybody out of anything they believe in. I would never do
Jimmy,
that.
your form of karate like mostly Buddhist and come
Well,
from like
no, my karate actually um, comes from Tibet. The Vada and the Zitwa that I studied and the levels of samadhi are all Tibet. Um, Tibet was owned by India, but the Chinese monks came over, took that. Vada means to slay with an open hand. We do not practice with
no
weapons.
close test.
When I studied Kung Fu, that was a different story. Then we got into shaka blades and throwing stars and, learning ninja stuff. The Kung Fu was real ninja stuff. But
I thought you were
yeah, it
Buddhist
was
at
all
first.
about Buddha. And Buddha doesn't believe in a God. Buddha believes in the sanctity of your spirit as a human being. My religion is about the basis of being good, being wholesome to everybody. When somebody needs you, you give them more. You never ask for something back.
It's based on enlightenment, true consciousness, and understanding.
Absolutely, bro.
Okay.
And that's what I believe in. I
So who
don't
was this
Maybe
believe.
guy,
all
Jimmy?
religions. I
Who
like
was
it.
the bald-headed image? The
That's
guy,
Buddha.
the
You know the
Buddhist.
nail salons and shit. The big fat guy in all the nail salons. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Buddha.
who was that guy, Jimmy?
That's Buddha.
What's that? Yeah, that's Buddha.
Oh, that's Buddha. And
That's
you
that dude
guys.
right there.
Yeah. Palava was the man with the six hands. It's not about who that is. Buddha is a representation of yourself. You are Buddha. Buddha is there telling you, look, make good of your life now. My religion is about us and now. I only know that I'm talking to Brian right now. I'm talking to Mukta. We are trying to identify things
Yeah.
about religion, but the reality again of religion is there's a lot of holes punched. There's a lot of impracticalities, and there's a lot of mythical stories that are in the Bible. And again, Ezekiel speaks of spaceships. Do I believe in aliens? Absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah,
But
but the
aliens didn't build the
y speaks of
pyramids,
Nirvana. You know,
and
what I mean, there's spaceships in all different religions that they speak of them. They have
yeah,
Vimana.
bro. Hey, listen, everybody tried to figure out, and they start to argue, and we were on this conspiracy show, even about the three pyramids, and
I was there.
again. The Egyptians were so modified and so mathematical that they designed this tool that we would use almost like a T-bevel square. But they made it with two arms and they aligned it through a grama and these two stones. And they were able to mathematically develop that and grow it and how to level off stuff, and the geometrical probabilities that they came up with were insane. But also they were controlling people. They took care of the people. But again, the story of Horus, which Horus was born of a virgin, baptized by a man that was beheaded, talking snake, 40 days it's the story 1380 BC. It was it was Egyptian mythology. It was never meant to be a truth. It was only a following and something that gave you a belief and strength into believing something if you are a weak-minded person.
I think
Yes.
it's much older than that. I think it goes way beyond, way
Well,
beyond. I think there's an ancient
listen,
civilization that we lost.
Yeah.
And I think it's passed down stories, and they're doing their best to repatch it. And I believe everybody's got their own version of it. But there's
well, I
some.
got to tell you, no, I disagree with you because 6,000 years ago, the Hindu religion, the oldest religion, had 24 gods at one time, which they narrowed it down, and less than half the god of the sun, the god of the earth. But it was only the belief of the earth. That's why they came up with the story of the 12 apostles. If you look at hieroglyphics and you read the papyrus of Egyptian history, that story of the apostles before the story of Jesus goes back to only 4700 BC before they started the structure of the pyramids. So, Brian, that's what I'm saying. Everything was done by months. Everything almost came out of an astrological perspective. We're going to make 12 apostles, one for each month. Come on, man.
No, I feel you, but the
Well,
whole thing with the pyramids being dated back to 4,700 years ago, which is 6,700, roughly 6,700 years ago,
no,
you
no,
can't
it's
carbon
40.
date
It's
stones.
4,700. It's 4,700 years ago. It's almost 5,000 years ago.
Oh, so it was 3,500 BC or something like that? What was it? Or
No,
whatever.
it was 20. Okay, Joseph built the first pyramid in 2780 BC. Snafu built his pyramids 140 years after that. He was not the son of Jophar. Jophar's son and Jophar's family died. Snafu's family became from the sister of Jophar, and he became the pharaoh. And
No,
then,
no, I was on a conspiracy podcast. I know you're very well versed. You have a heavy education in that. Like I said, it's tough to fucking argue with an education. However, one thing I did want to say the last time, and it comes up now, is I don't believe in their time scale because you can't radiocarbon date stone. It's not possible. You can't do that. Plus, that's not the
Brian,
original outside of the stone.
Brian, I want
There's
Brian, I
dirt in
want
the
to tell you
stone.
something. Listen, they used granite, they used alabaster, and they used limestone.
Right, and none of that
And
has organic material in it, so you
well,
can't
no, yeah, I
radiocarbon
want to
date it.
explain something to you. Yes, but they can tell by the temperature and the age. It's not carbon, it's not plutonium or
No, it's
nuclear
radiocarbon dating. That's
testing.
the only form of measurement we have right now. It's radiocarbon dating. You need organic
No, no,
lifestyle.
you don't need that. You don't need that with stone. Right, you don't need that with stone. I want to tell you, they can tell by how the
You can tell
stone is
when the stone
worn.
came from, but not from when it was cut. You can't tell that. You can't.
Absolutely.
It,
Absolutely. It's historical records, man. It's
You know, it's
historical records.
amazing.
There's
Was it?
you had Imhotep. You had Imhotep, who was Imhotep is actually, they named him Imhotep. He was a deity.
how come they
But
never
yes,
found a single? How come they never found a single body or a mummy in these temples? How come they never found nothing in them?
yes, they did.
They absolutely did not, Jimmy. Come
That's
on,
not
come on,
true at all.
come
That's
on. They
not
said
true at all.
no, they
They
said,
found
but when they
priests.
found no, when they found them, they were empty, and they said that they were looted prior. That's what they all said about every single one of them.
And
They never
no,
found nothing in there.
in the catacombs, when with Nefertiti and what's his name? Man, it's at the tip of my tongue. I got so much stuff I'm thinking about. No, when they were building in the land of the kings, in the burial chambers, all the catacombs they dug out when they weren't doing the pyramids anymore, they did discover priests. Yes, a lot of
I'm talking
the
about pyramids. I'm not talking about the Valley of the Kings with the
no,
temples. I'm
no, I'm
talking about
talking about the
pyramids.
pyramids. Yes, they did find bodies in there, absolutely. But they weren't any pharaohs, because a lot of that stuff that was covered in pure gold was all ransacked. They took that all out.
They
So a
robbed everything.
lot of the stuff, they did find ash, but they did not find qualified mummies because they were destroyed. You know, the
Did
minute
the
you open
Catholic
that up,
Church exist
what's that?
around that era or no? The
What's
Catholic
that?
Church came later after the pyramid era, right?
Yeah, way
What was
after.
way after? I know.
What are you
Okay.
talking about? The church?
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Oh, the Catholic
mythology or
religion, man.
whatever.
Yeah, man. The Roman Catholic religion started with Constantinople, which said that, hey, you know what? Why do we believe in all these gods? It's better to believe in one God. There's the Roman Catholic Church. It's really done from the military. It was a militia, man.
Yeah, but
It has
Moses,
to be.
Moses, listen. Moses comes from Egyptian. Moses is a documented person from Egypt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Did you know that he killed 250,000 of his own people?
that's cool. Whatever. Like I wasn't there.
But did you know they took that out of the Bible? That was the cause of the separation of John from the church, because John argued with all the people that were writing the Bible and taking all interpretations and stories of
Well, look, the
Matthew.
winners always write history. The winners always write history, and they leave out the bad parts. You know what I mean? It's just so. It's
Of
just what
course,
happens.
man.
But
Yeah.
again, this is what I'm talking about. This is man's interpretation of God's word. So one, how the fuck can any man tell us what God said? So it's like the Bible
Exactly,
may be
bro.
complete cap. It might be complete bullshit. Maybe. I'm not gonna say it. It could be. Any of the religious texts could. But there's got to be something there. There's something there. There's that spark of life. What
Jimmy,
the hell caused all that?
there's good out of religions too.
Was
You know
that?
what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Majority of religions are meant to be good. And again, yeah, it's meant to control people, but that's the fucking psychopaths. The average person who reads the Bible doesn't get that deep and crazy into it. And they don't use it as a rule or a way to use God's name to murder people.
Exactly.
Hey, Brian. Hey, Mook. Brian, I want you to hear this story. Mook, you know Chris Fidel, my sensei, right?
Yeah.
Chris was a warrior at one time, and I enjoyed his company because we were able to fight at a level where we weren't even touching each other, fighting at a pure energy. And I don't know if he ever told you this, Mook, but we were doing intense shit. We were going into pure samadhi, which is a level
energy force.
Yeah, Brian, it's all energy. And when I got my 4th degree black belt, I had to actually position myself as a board. I had to put the tip of my head on a chair and my heels on a chair.
Sure.
And 4 people had to sit on me and my body couldn't bend. That was the first time I ever reached a level of samadhi in my life. It was the most intense thing, and it's all very about spirit and about coming into breathing. When I got my hair done, bro, in Turkey, they couldn't believe I did the operation 12 hours straight, didn't even move, didn't ask for water, didn't ask for anything. They juiced me up, and they said that's the first time nobody ever bled and nobody ever had to get up and panic.
I've seen the monks do that thing, and like the shit they do is impossible, but it's not.
Yeah, bro, that's why. Yeah, no. So I studied that shit, Brian. I studied it since I'm 11 years old, man. You know, I've been in a dojo my whole life. You know, and I think it's 52 years, man. I teach Zen. I teach about how bold and mobile we must be as men. How we must cherish our friends, you know. Like I don't want to disrespect nobody, but I don't want nobody disrespecting me, you know. I will never hurt my brother Mukta. I will never, because I cherish him, but I'm cherishing him through myself, my self-esteem, my self-strength, my focus. I don't need an invisible deity or whatever you would say, you know. I know how the earth was formed. We have unbelievable proof. We've reached almost 500,000 years into the Big Bang Theory, but the problem is that it's so vast and widespread now. You're talking about 14 billion years, man. Think about that. The Earth is 4.5 billion years old.
I'm a student of science, mathematics. I've also been passed down a tradition with a book, and I do have, to some extent, I do have faith in basically a spiritual guide, you know. But like I said,
but Brian, you're allowed to do that, man. If that makes you feel better, that's where a religion might help somebody. But me, I'm a realist, bro. I want to know. I want to see the dynamics of real proof and intelligence, not stories taken from 1,000 different books. And oh yeah, you're right. The Earth is not flat, or the Earth is not the center of the universe.
I don't think the Bible was ever meant to be taken literally. I think that's the problem. I think that's a real problem in this world with people, is that they religion to people is carved in stone, right? It's a belief system. It shouldn't be a belief system, because every day we learn more and more. It's
That's how you were growing up.
But an idea can be changed, right? A belief is set in stone. Beliefs are not good. An idea, but it's a tradition. It's a tradition and a story that teach you how to deal with everyday events.
Yeah, Brian, absolutely, man, absolutely.
That's why
there's good traditions and there's bad traditions. Now you think about the Catholic Church. How long have they been known, preachers that, oh yeah,
well, that's different.
They talk to each other, they know everything that's going on.
Yeah, but that's not in the Bible. That's
not a long time. You know what I
mean? The Catholic Church started in the Bible was written in 89. It was 89 AD. The Roman Catholic religion started right before that. Okay. When they indoctrinated the Bible, when Constantinople and wanted to do the writings, and they wanted to pass the Roman, I'm talking about the Roman Catholic Bible. The Christian Bible is a little different. That was way back on Jesus. So the Bible, the Christian religion started 2,000 years ago with the birth of Christ, man.
Well, the first book is the Old Testament. That's even older than Christ. That was the book.
Well, yeah, but the Old Testament is not Christian. The Old Testament is not Christian.
It's the Torah. Yeah. The Old Testament. No, I know, of course, and that's why, like I said, I've spoken to many many Jewish people, specifically Hasidic or ultra Orthodox, that they basically explain the Old Testament, the Torah, in a very different way than Catholic priests do. But it's all just stories for understanding how to deal with things that happen in life. Basic necessity things of understanding people, business, interaction with family. It's just tradition, and it's just stories to try to aid you. You know, people take it too fucking literally. Oh, burning bush. Well, it couldn't be like.
Bro, it's
You
called
really think somebody's
control, man.
do
It's
you
called
really think?
control.
But I'm just
It's very simple.
saying, like when like this, with the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? The two cities that were destroyed because they were wilding out. They were doing awful things, you know, horrible things. Now, when whoever's wife it was, I forget who it was, when his wife turned around to look at it, and she was told not to, she was said to have turned into a pillar of salt. Now, I doubt that.
Bro, can I
really
tell you
happened.
something? Can I tell you something? That I want to tell you. Yes, Sodom and Gomorrah were the two cities that were close to what became a desert. If you want to know the truth about what went down, we now have
There's vitrified glass out there, so something fucking went down out there.
Yeah, bro. There was a meteorite.
That's what I'm saying. So somebody was smited.
We have scientific proof of that now.
Right, but
that it was a meteorite because Sodom and Gomorrah, they actually discovered where the glass blast was out. There was no way that the sun was hot enough to make to make the sand glow. When they Yeah, it was a meteorite, and that's what. Oh, Sodom and Gomorrah, because of what they did. How dare they? Fucking elephants. Who gives a fuck what they're doing?
Again, all it did, Jimmy, all it did was explain how two cities disappeared, how that glass got there, and then on top
because
of that,
you know what? At that time, that was Las Vegas.
But it
Bro,
also
that was
why
hedonism.
people do certain things. Like
but did you know that the Romans traveled there, and many people from all over the world traveled there? It was, guess what, bro? They had Vegas back then there too.
Of course, no, that was
Vegas. I know, but it didn't blow up because of some god. It blew up because of a meteorite, and it was they're the two closest cities.
Somebody will argue that God sent that meteorite.
That's the thing. God smited them for that reason, and I mean, again, this is all faith based, but I'm just saying, like, God damn, that spark that creates life. You know, when a person dies and they lose that 21 grams, what the fuck is that, man? Like, there's something that's not explained in this world.
Yeah, bro, it's called the energy in our body. It's electronic magnetic impulses that fly through our body. We are attached to the earth. The earth is a magnet. We are part of that magnet. When this moon, when there's a full moon and the draw of the earth is stronger, we react to that because we are solar energy, bro. And guess what? Martha Adams is she's a theoreticist. Yeah, she has explained it thoroughly because, again, I don't have PhDs like she does. I'm a novice compared to her. But when she tells you that the development of religion was for the form of control, the same way when people built the pharaohs, the people wanted to be buried with the pharaohs, so in the afterlife they'll go. It's the same thing. Religion was based on control and weakness, keeping you weak, keeping you believing.
Of course, how to control the masses so that they don't fucking wild out.
Of course, bro, absolutely. So so that's why religion is very radical. Religion is very radical. We never discussed about the Muslim religion.
I would argue that religion keeps people from being radical, but then stupid people use it as an excuse to be radical, and they
the same way there's radical Christians. Same way there's radical Christians.
Yeah, there are, and I'm scared of them motherfuckers too, man. They're crazy. They're crazy. Yeah. Heaven's Gate motherfuckers. These fucking people down in Texas that got burned up back in the day. You know, there's some wild people out there. They all commit sin. They all commit sin knowingly in God's name, which is bullshit. It's bullshit.
Listen, yeah. There's a guy. I turned on the channel, Brian. I forget what channel. Mook. It was the weirdest. Mook. This was the weirdest thing I saw. This guy. He put his hand to the mic and he's looking snarly in the camera. He goes, "Are you going to tell me to fulfill your seed? The $1,000 gift that you send will fulfill the oath of what God has given you. Give me that $1,000 seed and I'll grow it into $1 billion."
So that's normal. Yep.
But Mook,
they're like faith healers, snake people. They're all fucking nuts, man.
Yeah, but bro, but what bothers me is that people say they talk to God. Have you guys ever seen the movie Religulous?
No.
Brian, Mook, I want you guys, listen, this is Bill Maher. Google it. You can watch it on Netflix or whatever. but it's called religious. Bill Maher, in a very simple form, brought it all together for you to have a great understanding. He went to, in Orlando, there's a Christian Bible place, and it's all about Jesus, and they do the whole thing, the sign of the cross and the walking. You had people going, oh, like this and all this craziness. But there was people that did not know that the real story of Jesus and the Immaculate Conception, they did, oh, that's not true at all. No, how dare you? You know, that's the radicalism that bothers me.
Yeah, people are
There's
crazy.
no,
I get it. But like, all right, so Jimmy, so you came up in the Catholic Church. You're Italian. So I grew up in an Irish family, but I grew up with a lot of Italians, so I know them very well. So your understanding of our religion is pretty much the same. We came from the same ghettos in New York.
it's the same shit, bro. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So you're aware. You guys, I'm sure, are aware of when people are supposedly touched by the Holy Ghost. When the Holy Spirit touches you, people pass the fuck out. You've seen this? You've heard of this?
Hey, bro, can I tell you something? Listen, I studied karate 52 years. I teach how to fight with energy. I moved 2 of my students about 2 months ago. I didn't even touch them. They were going for their brown belt. I didn't pass them. They were not, in my style, you have to understand that level of energy. So I want to explain something to you. There's a thing called a shunning that we use in karate. That priest is using that same method. If you are a weak-minded person, and it's a form of hypnosis, and when I fight sometimes with people, I'll use that hypnosis because I studied it. I mastered it.
No, but I'm just saying, listen, I've actually experienced this only once in my entire life. I went to church every Sunday my entire life. They blew the incense in my face, all that stuff. Same exact stuff every Sunday, no issues. On my confirmation, I'm sitting in the front row during my confirmation. All of a sudden, I felt really lightheaded. I turned around and looked at my parents. Next thing I know, I'm outside. I passed the fuck out. My teacher went crazy because this bitch apparently passes out every breakfast and pancake breakfast that the church has and all that shit. But I had never heard of that shit before, and I never had any issues. But during confirmation, which I had just finished a reading, because I was one of like, I don't know, I was very well versed in my religion. I was very involved in it, but wound up passing out, and people were freaking out about it. Like freaking, I'd never heard about it, and then afterwards I found out about it, but I didn't do that shit on purpose, and trust me, no priest put me down with some, voodoo. Like, I'm just saying.
But let me ask you something, Brian.
I'm not saying I believe it. I'm just saying it happened, and
All
I
right,
can't.
Brian, I'm going to explain something to you. I was on a bus. We were on a bus, a religious bus trip, when I was going through, I had to go to Holy Child Church. We were all going on a bus, and we were going to somewhere in Pennsylvania. It wasn't that far. It was like maybe 100 miles. Going to see this big sanctuary and everything. And I went by the old church, and I collapsed and passed out. And everybody's, oh, look, the Holy Spirit attacked me. No. I might have needed water, or I might have got a dizzy spell. It's just a coincidence.
You can't explain it. Well, like I told you before, I do not believe in coincidence, and I'm not saying, look, I'm not some holy roller. I'm not saying any of that. But I'm saying you don't know. You don't know. No. And if you have faith, you can explain it with that. If not, you can.
Again, that's faith. That's faith, my friend. But I'm talking about where hard-nosed religion comes from. And again, there's a lot of crazy things that happen. That's why I'm recommending to you both. Remember this movie. Watch Religulous.
Yeah, Religulous. I got it.
Because Religulous by Bill Maher. It's not only Bill Maher is an atheist, yes, and he's a very intelligent guy. But I want to explain something to you. You either can, as a person, say, hey, you know what? I understand what Jimmy's saying, but you know what? Like you said, Brian, hey, I want to have that faith. It makes me feel better. Damn, do it, man. I'm not telling you not to do it.
Yeah, whatever.
But I know the reality of religion, and I know the farce of religion, and I know why it was created. It wasn't created for us to have a great, strong belief and to help ourselves. No, it's for us to go to a church and give our money and support a situation that they're really not doing anything. The Roman Catholic Church paid for all the Catholic churches in the United States, practically every single bit of it, the archdiocese. And if you ever go to Rome and you ever go to the Vatican and you see the enormity of this and the power that these people had, you now go, holy shit, this is all about money.
I'm very well aware. Yeah.
But guess what, Jimmy? Because Yellow Rays has something to say to you. Jesus loves you.
Love you.
All right, man. Hey, thank
What's
you.
so funny about that?
You tell
Shalom.
Jesus. You tell Jesus I thank him very much. I hope he's not talking to Jesus. Or they ask him if he's talking to Jesus.
Are you talking to Jesus? If so, tell him send me a blessing.
He's gonna send me another message. This is this.
Hey, look, Mook, my sensei Chris and I were so close and tight. We were so involved in a really spiritual level of karate. I mean, I can't even describe it. If you ever talk to him or you ever see him, you say, hey, you and Jimmy, did you ever go to a level? We were actually fighting at a level of energy where we didn't even touch each other. I went to go hit him. There was so much mass there, and that can be developed. But through his cancer, through his weakness, he needed that spirituality of God to get him through that because, it's a turmoil.
Yeah, but
And most people,
you can't say weakness. He went through cancer, life threatening situation, and he found strength.
no, but
And
Mook, it was a weakness. He was weak to be able to grab Jesus. He felt down. Yeah, bro. That's what I'm trying to say. He was down. He was depressed. Through Jesus, that Jesus didn't have anything to do with him healing. He actually got better, thank God. And the chemotherapy, it just knocked it right out of him. It was after that thrust that he started becoming religious and became a pastor. He has his own church
why?
now.
Maybe Jesus talked to him and he's seen something.
Because you know what? He had a fear in him.
He felt the spirit of God at that point. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't believe that at all, man. I'm sorry.
I understand. But like I said, there's certain things that take place.
My mother, I just watched my mother suffer for 6 years. And I saw my sister praying and praying and praying and praying and praying. No, it has nothing to do with
Tragic. I watched my brother suffer for 10 years, and then I witnessed him die 3 times over. Like I've seen, like I said, I've seen evil. I've seen the evil that men do, and I've seen what I believe are miracles.
So you just said you died, Brian?
No, I watched my brother pass away three separate times.
Oh, your brother passed away. I'm very sorry. How old was your brother?
He was 33, like Jesus.
Well, wow. I'm very sorry. How long ago was this?
It'll be 4 years in January 3rd.
It's still too short because you can never forget your brother, and I'm very sorry about that.
Oh,
But I don't think it was a coincidence that it had anything to do with him dying on his 33rd birthday. It had to do anything with Jesus.
Come on,
coincidence, yeah.
Of course.
But,
Well, I don't know if it was a coincidence because he died on my half birthday, which is kind of weird too.
Listen, you know what it is, my man? My father prayed to a statue. Okay, it was the infant of Prague. And my grandmother and my Uncle Tony told me this a while ago. My Uncle Tony had the statue, but they swear that the statue was crying. There's a little tear running out of the eye, and maybe that's why I'm blessed with a lot of shit that I do, man. Music, everything, design, art, sculpture, whatever, I just mold into it. I just think I had an opportunity to be born with a couple of gifts. I think it has a lot to do with personality and character and willfulness and diligence. I don't think it was anything to do with a God. I really don't think. Everybody, you got a gift from God. God gifted you. Like I don't get it. So you mean I'm blessed? Yeah, but I'm blessed, and then that poor 5-year-old kid that has cancer. So what is God playing a joke?
No, it's not a joke
is God picking and choosing?
No, bro. In order to make it into kingdom of heaven, you may have to suffer. That's part of having faith, of keeping the faith too. It's actually a test. You witness.
Yeah, but they wrote that in there. Yeah, but that was written in from the Ritma Mira. Jimmy,
again, who knows where religion came from? Like I'm saying, God may not be an individual. Jesus may just be a guy, who is a prophet, who wasn't the actual son of God, like the Jews believe.
No, but I know that, Brian. But you were just talking about like something spiritual. That's 100%.
What I'm 100%.
Yeah.
Which is
I don't think. Listen, again, when you walk up to a person, Brian, you know you don't like that dude. Did you ever get that, like that weird feeling about
Yeah, of
somebody?
course, every day, a
Okay,
thousand percent.
that's your electronic magnetic impulses shooting out of your body, literally at the same rate at the sun, but at the same
Picking up
speed
on
as the
low
sun,
vibration frequencies. I'm
but a
aware.
very different level. Well, that's what we experience. Our mental mind projects something. Our nerves, endings, and all the things in our body react to that. React to. That's why Bruce Lee always said. Bruce Lee was a philosopher, and he was a very, very intelligent guy. But he said, "Don't think bad thoughts about yourself and other people because your mind doesn't realize it." And it might take you for serious, and it takes you as stress, and your ability to heal yourself is weakened. So yeah, you are reacting to emotion. If you think of something, like if you see somebody get hit by a car and you react to it, your heart starts jumping. Yeah, that's electronic magnetic impulses, multiple reactions through your mind and your nerve endings that are making you react to that. It's a very simple explanation. But there is no explanation for religion. There is no basis on religion. Many priests from Italy have said there's two theoretical periods. There's two historical periods. There's the religious period, and then there's the scientific period. And that's formed when Galileo started saying, "Hey, wait a minute, guys, like the teacher in the classroom. Wait a minute, I just discovered something. This is bullshit."
Yeah,
And
but
then
no,
Isaac
see, that
Newton.
was the church that was afraid of that science would disprove religion. Whereas I personally, I believe that science kind of backs up religion because it proves that there's a fucking plan, man. So this
My
is
man,
it's
my man,
divine,
I
divine,
mean,
divine,
my man.
divine.
I don't
everything
know,
came from a
Brian. I don't know
plan.
where you
It's
get.
all
Yeah,
mathematics, but it's a plan. The
What
steps.
I'm saying is there's a very specific plan. Things are mapped out very specifically in intricate ways with patterns and very set
well,
forward
that's
in a
science.
specific
That's
way.
geometry. Yeah, that's
It is.
geometry and
Geometry.
trigonometry and
Of course, but I'm
algebra
saying
and
everything's very specific. Everything's very specific. Like, who the fuck created that? It just happened. I think there's got to be a
no,
little bit
no,
more to
bro.
it.
Listen, the Egyptians. I'll explain that to you. It's very easy because the Romans stole it from the Egyptians as they were stealing the obelisks out while they were carving them. There was two that were taken out that the Romans wanted them to finish. As
Yo,
soon
how
as
are
they
these
finished.
motherfuckers so smart and we're so dumb 4,000 years later? You don't think that
No,
they
no,
found
it's
out some
not that.
shit from
No, bro, it's not that.
inherited
You
before us?
got Brian. You got to remember something. Why are we so dumb today? Is because we have smartphones and we have TVs and nothing, and we have movies. Back then, they only had a table and a tablature and papyrus, and they wrote and they studied and they read. That's why the Mayan Indians became so fucking structured that they discovered what 2012 was. It was the beginning of Venus, and when we come center solus of the Earth, we're traveling right now. We used to travel 62,000 miles an hour. I think now we're traveling 74 because we're in the dark rift. We're
We
going
forever
seven.
expand. We forever
We're
expand.
going through space 74,000 miles an hour. Our solar system is traveling 175,000 miles an hour around our galaxy. Yes, my friend, it's very easy to explain. Mathematics was brought on by the stars. The Egyptians discovered the grammar tool. If you look up the grammar tool, you will be amazed at
I'll check it out.
but
You
that's
got to
all
check
they
out
had,
Fingerprints of
Brian.
the Gods by Graham Hancock. That's a book you need to read. I actually got it right here. Fingerprints of the Gods by Graham Hancock. That'll fucking blow your hair back. I guarantee it. And after you read that, you'll start to have questions. I guarantee it. I
Well,
guarantee
bro,
it.
isn't everything a question? Isn't everything a
Of course,
question?
that's the thing. You
Yeah,
got to be
we're
open.
going to
You got
be
to be
asking
open.
these questions for a long time, brother. Just like
I'm
the
not saying anything.
scientists,
Not that I'm
just like
saying
we
it's fact. I'm just saying
discovered.
I'm open to the idea that there's definitely more out there that we don't know. To think that we know everything from our past is fucking ignorant. You know what I mean? That's hyper
Well, we
ignorant.
know how old the Earth is.
It's
We
60
know
million
how.
years. We've been here for 4,000 years. Come on, man. Come on. Come
Bro,
on.
wait a minute, Brian. We have undeniable proof and facts that the Earth is 4.5 billion years old.
I
We
said
know that we
people,
came
I
out of
mean,
the water 500. Wait a minute. There's
600 million years
undeniable
ago.
proof, and you are not at a level to question guys like Edwards and
No,
Broski.
I'm saying people have been around since 600 million years ago, roughly. But
No,
I'm
we
just
have
saying,
not been around 600 million years ago. No. I want to tell you, we were just coming out of the water, which we have proof of the vertebrate fish that we come from was 500 million years. That
Okay,
is
I'm at 500 mil. You know, like
no, but that is the definite proof of that. And how they had that proof was, look, there was lakes that were, they're finding sharks bones, and well, where is this? We're in a desert. The earth has changed and shifted so much. We were able to develop that right to the Pangea, bro. We're very scientific, and we have some of the smartest people in the world. And again, me and you are like novice to these people.
of
I'm
course,
gonna
but I'm
I'm
very
gonna
well
go
aware
with
of what
what they're
Pangea
saying.
is. I'm very well aware of what Pangea is. In fact, Long Island, it's very strange. In fact, check this out. Long Island broke off from what is most likely France when Pangea split apart. And that's why anytime I eat strawberries from Long Island, specifically grown in Long Island, I have a crazy reaction to it. So I bet if I
Hey,
ate strawberries grown in
listen.
France, I'd be fucked.
Look, we know how the Atlantic Ocean was a creek at one time. Just think about that. It was a
Yeah,
creek.
when it's splitting in half.
So do you know how the time period of that? They know when the axis of the Earth shifted. We now know that the axis of the Earth is shifting now and where it's going to go. We actually can project that through. Computer. It's called computer something
We've had 7
geometry.
pole flips because there's magnetic material, different magnetic
Yeah,
material.
bro, they're able to take the ions out of this. I mean, it's really incredible fucking shit.
But that's why they believe that there was 7 races prior to us, the last being the Atlanteans, which would prove that there was an ancient history. I'm just saying, like, to
Well,
think
no,
that
we know is Cro-Magnon. No, Cro-Magnon. The Neanderthal was around for 240,000 years, and we're Cro-Magnon. We come from Cro-Magnon. We have proof of that.
but they
There was
said
22. There was
that
22 different. There was 22 different human species. 22 different.
They literally just found a new one like 3 months ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're going to discover more.
Of
but
course.
we dated back to starting to come out of the trees 3 million years ago. And we now know that man civilization started 10,000 years ago, like with the Kush, and all these people and the Ottomans. Yeah, we get that.
I think it goes deeper. That's what I'm saying. There's cataclysms, and there was things that happened that fucking like the last ice age didn't just come about over like a course of 1,000 years, like we were told. Like
no, it was 25,000 years ago.
But
it ended.
Whenever it was. Bottom line,
yeah, it was 25,000 years ago.
But there's things like that. Have you gotten into the Younger Dryas impact theory? And it's not a theory; it's actually been proven. It's been proven.
Well,
you got to look into that. It changes everything. Everything.
Hey, listen, man. Again, I want you to give me ideas. I want you to give me your explanation on that. I want to hear what you have to say about that.
Okay, so the last time was 10,600 years. Was it? Yeah, 10,600 years ago. No,
right.
Sorry, 10,600 BC. So 1,206, whatever. At that point in time, we were going through. We were basically going through one of the asteroid belts as we go on our, on our rotation through our solar system and through fucking space and all that. We have times where we go through, basically meteorites come crashing down. So it's not like. So we know that a meteorite hit the Earth and killed the fucking dinosaurs. Like they've proven that. That's common knowledge. That's what we all believe. That's what we're told.
Right.
Apparently, 12,600 years ago, we had a similar situation, but it wasn't one big one. It was tons of small ones because we passed through a fucking meteorite belt, and they have proof of that because they found a layer that's from 12,600 years ago that has vitrified glass in it. It's a black layer. You can literally see it. You can go to certain places and see it, and it takes place all the way from basically California all the way out to like Turkey and Syria. And
okay, and I understand all about this, but what do you think? Well, why do you think that happened?
What do you mean? Why do I think that happened?
Was there a reason for that happening?
Yes, we passed through a fucking meteorite belt, which is what we're actually passing.
Okay, but I'm saying what? So that happens so many times. That happened millions and millions of times.
Exactly, and if it happened 12,600 years ago, it would have wiped out everybody because you have to understand it flash boiled the fucking water. It melted the ice caps in a second. Okay, we had crazy floods. You can see it. You can see it in the pockmarking throughout North America. it all came from water that came through super fast and then receded super fast. It wasn't over 1,000 years. It was like fucking over a month. It was crazy. And you gotta watch.
Yeah, but bro, that has. Do you know how many meteors come crashing into
No, but
our?
this was a cataclysmic event. This
No,
wiped
I
out
understand, but
everything.
bro, that cataclysmic stuff has happened many, many times.
Of course,
The
but that's the thing.
dinosaurs has proven
It's like a
that.
great, but
If
it's like
it's
a great
big,
reset.
it's just a coincidence of a meteorite or a large meteor
No,
breaking
but what
up.
I'm
That's
saying is
what it sounds
it
like.
would have knocked
Yeah,
out
but
would
what
have
does that
knocked
have
out
to do with
civilization.
you? What does that
Like,
have to do with humans? What does that
what I'm
have to do
talking
with
about is with the exception of a small few, it would have wiped out majority of any ancient civilization that used to be around. I mean,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, but it's not going to wipe
it's
out.
got to be
Listen,
cheaper.
not everything 100% was wiped out
No, no. I said there's some
by the
people
dinosaurs,
survived.
but again,
Some people survived.
we only know of 22 human species. We don't know what was before. I think the Andoria period, which was like 29,000 years ago, and again, when the Ice Age ended, that's when the woolly mammoth and the Neanderthal died because
Right,
they were only
exactly.
able to
And they found
survive in the snow.
and they
But
no, listen to me. And they found many woolly mammoths with food in their mouth, perfectly preserved in ice.
yeah,
How? Okay, so that means that was a cataclysm that happened instantly, instantly.
yeah, but bro, that's been going on the Earth. The Earth was bombarded 100 million times,
Exactly. That's
especially
why
in
I'm
its
saying
creation. I know, but
many
that has
ancient
nothing. I don't know what
civilizations were
that has to
wiped
do
out.
with.
What I'm saying
But
is
what?
the ancient
Yeah,
civilizations that were wiped out, small pockets of people still survive. People were in caves or in high
of
mountain
course.
regions and shit. Exactly.
Yeah.
So people did survive it. What I'm saying is the knowledge and ancient civilizations that we can't even fucking find because it's completely wiped out because of all the water that rushed everywhere and took everything out. So I'm saying I think it goes a lot longer than 10,000 years ago. I think there was many
No,
cultures
no,
prior to that.
civilization itself, and I'm talking about people. We have that documented. Again, if you read
They can't tell you through
Edwards,
the Tigris and the Euphrates where modern day Iraq is, but the whole new thing, this whole Graham Hancock thing, I'm telling you, they have pretty solid. It's pretty solid evidence that there was more to it that was wiped away. They
yeah,
think
no,
they kept
listen, bro, again, we've been around for 3 million years, but I'm talking about the proof of what we know now, the civilizations and human gatherings. I'm talking about what created Egypt and what created the Kush Empire and the Ottoman Empire. That did not happen till 7,000
yeah,
years
but
ago.
10,000 years ago they said we were hunter gatherers, and then 3,000, 4,000 years later we had fucking pyramids and vast knowledge of the
No, no,
sky.
that's not true at all because the alabaster and some of the limestone in the periods would have deteriorated. And again, that was knocked out in 1935 about the pyramids when they were saying making a suggestion of all that shit.
That's
No,
all a theory, Jimmy. That's a theory. That's a
no, it's
proposed
not a
theory.
theory, bro. I want to explain something to you. We already know that the aliens didn't build the pyramids. We have
I didn't say
undeniable
aliens. I
proof
didn't
of
say
that.
that. I didn't
But
say that.
no. But what I'm trying to explain to you is we do have a timeline. Not only do we have papyrus
It's a
documents.
proposed. We have papyrus documents, yes, but it's a proposed timeline. And trust me, anything that was
No, it's
written
not a
prior to
proposed timeline, bro.
it is.
You're
It is.
talking about we've been documenting time, and the Egyptians were almost just as good as the Mayan Indians about that. The timelines have never changed, and the
What I'm saying is, Jimmy,
documentations.
that I'm saying was all evidence was wiped away prior, except for small pockets of people who managed to come back at some point. I'm talking very
Yeah, but you're
small
talking
pockets.
about 10. You're talking about 12,000 years ago.
Yes, and I'm talking about ancient knowledge
The
that's been wiped clean of the earth and that we'll never know of. That's what I'm just saying. I just don't
Oh yeah,
believe that
no,
we
but
went from. I
no,
just
but
don't believe
no,
that we
we
went from
do
a
know.
hunter-gatherer society to a
No,
fucking
that's not true
insane
because
society in Egypt.
the KT boundary we have discovered right into the KT boundary which was way before that. You're talking about 100. You're talking about
I want you to
65
read the
million
text.
years ago.
I want you to look into Graham Hancock. I'm telling you, just
Yeah, no, I know about the Graham Hancock, but what I'm trying to explain to you is that's a theoretical charge. That's not a proven charge. They're saying, well, know it got wiped out. We know this was wiped out. But what was before that? Oh, what do you think? No, that's what that is. I'm very well. I have a very great understanding of what you're trying to say, and I understand that. But no,
the burial mounds in North America date back to 12,600 years ago. I'm saying there's a lot of information. Basically, there was
no,
a huge
there,
cataclysm
there
right at
was
that
just
time.
pockets, bro. I'm talking about civilization.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm talking
pockets of
about.
people are not a civilization. I'm talking about countries. When the development of cities and countries and states and like we're Egypt. That's what I'm talking about. That we did not have the wherewithal 12,000 years ago to have an understanding of how to create a nation. We have undeniable proof.
I think you're downplaying the abilities of human beings. To be honest, I really do. And that's
No,
the thing. Like,
humans have
the
been,
only reason
bro.
I'm
We
trying to even
started.
talk to you about this is
Yeah, but
because you're
Brian,
very
we were
educated and I
around
believe
for.
you have the capacity to fuck with this.
Brian, we were around for 3 million years. I
That's
told you, we
insane.
came out of the trees. We have undeniable proof for that.
And you
Just
think we're just
because
picking up
there was
berries and
a
fucking rocks?
cataclysmic thing doesn't mean that the world was wiped out, and
Not
it
for
was
sure.
not the sector of the whole earth. We
But if there
do.
was a
We
civilization, it would have been wiped out, and only small pockets of people would have existed. The possibility for that is definitely true. And I'm just saying, there's a huge gap between what they say was a hunter gatherer society, and then all of a sudden there's fucking Egypt with all this vast knowledge.
No, there
There
was,
has to be
bro. The
more to
hunter
that.
gatherers, go back to 16,000
They go
years
back
ago.
longer before that. What I'm saying is that we switched.
The Neanderthal was around for two hundred and
But what I'm
forty
saying is,
thousand
how
years.
did we switch? How did we switch from when we left the hunter gatherer society
Okay,
and went to modern
it's very
civilization?
listen. It's very easy to explain.
I don't think it is. I think it's
You-
way too much. I would think they had way too
Bro,
much knowledge to just come up with it
it's
out of nowhere that day.
no, it's not. It's very proven. Do you know about the Kush? You know about the Kush Empire?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Okay,
they
well,
were
the
like the
Kush
greatest empire
are
ever.
now, which is now Syria.
Mhm.
Okay, well, the first developmental city, and the Ottoman Empire was the first that it was hunter gatherers and people of that region, which were Assyrian or wherever it was, or Turkish or Greek people,
Sure.
began to tribe. They began to have leadership the same way the Roman Empire began. Hey, you take the same way the Irish clans fought off the Scottish and the English clans. It's the same thing. They began to coalesce with each other. They began to gather. Hey, they began to build buildings. We're going to live with each other. They
There's
were
Megalithic
developing
structures. There's
languages.
Megalithic
Yes,
structures. There's
yeah.
like
The
you know
Egyptian
Göbekli
Empire came
Tepe
from the
and Deir
Kush.
Yekta, all that shit in Turkey. That correlates right with the time of the Younger Dryas, and
No,
that
it
shit was
doesn't.
buried.
No,
Yes,
it
it does.
doesn't.
Yes, it
No, the
does.
Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire is not the oldest empire. The oldest empire is the Egyptian Empire. That's a proven fact,
Very
and
soon
that was
predates all that.
That's
Very soon and
47,000 years
Göbekli
ago.
Tepe. Göbekli Tepe predates that and lines up perfectly with the Younger Dryas, and they figured this out based on the orientation for where it lines up to Sirius, which is where they say life came from. And they say Sirius, there's two stars. There's Sirius A, that's the brightest fucking star in the sky, and that all
Yeah,
these
but bro, why
megalithic
is it?
structures
I don't understand.
are
Why are
aimed
you
towards it.
the star coming into the picture is just a belief. That's all. They're bringing this together because that's all they had to study the stars, Brian.
No, but
And again, you're
the ancient
making
texts say
this
that
like
we
it's
came from
some kind
Sirius
of
B.
unique thing. There
No,
was an
no,
accident. Things came down. Yeah, they're making a prediction that it should have wiped out
no,
this and it should have wiped out that.
these ancient megalithic structures line up to exactly where that shit would have been at 12,600 years. That's what I'm telling you. There's a
Yeah,
lot
bro,
to
I
it.
told you it's all grammar tools. We prove the oldest
It
proven
predates that.
that's bullshit. That's bullshit. I want to tell you why. Because the oldest Egyptian geometry is 5,000 years old.
No,
That's the oldest Egyptian
sacred,
geometry.
sacred geometry comes from way past that. Way past that.
No, it doesn't.
It
No, it
does.
doesn't. Well, again, you must know more than Broski because Broski again has 6 PhDs. He's a renowned world professor. I don't know how many.
And
How
he
many?
belongs to a group of people who are very set in their ways, and they don't allow any new
No,
information.
no, no, no. They're not set in their ways. They're all. Listen, bro. You know what happened in California Okay, no, that's not true at all. These people are intelligent people, and they want people to know that they're teaching you the history and they're showing you how this developed. It's
Right,
not
but there
impossible.
is information out there that they deny, and because they can't prove it, so they
Who's
rock with
denying
what
that?
they know.
Broski never denied anything. Broski wants you to know everything. He wants you to know how it developed. He's not, they're not, professors don't hinder things.
Yes, they do. They're
He,
the ones who came up with pseudoscience. They put pseudoscience on people they don't want to believe. They discredit people. We've seen that through history tons of fucking times. I mean, just look at
bro,
the way we have news right
how
now.
long ago are you
96.
talking? Wait, but bro, how long ago are you talking about? How
I'm
long
talking
ago are you
about
talking?
since the beginning of people. People have been suppressing knowledge since day one.
Yeah, bro, but I'm talking about now. I'm talking about people now that are college professors that do lectures all over the world. These are people that are just they're I mean they're beyond the ability of understanding how somebody could hold that
But they're
knowledge.
working off
It's
of
the
a
same as
preset paper
Einstein.
rule.
Again, I got to tell you what you're talking about. That we know that there's pockets of land dwellers and people moving. We know that they move from. That's why Native Indians came from the Chinese people, and they gathered over. They became Eskimos. People went to Alaska.
How about
People
land bridge
traveled down to
cattle?
America. You
There
know,
were
it's
people in
just
North
about
America long
gatherings.
before
That's how
that.
they made tribes, bro.
I'm telling you.
But nothing was discovered. There was no evidence, proven evidence, regardless of what you said got destroyed. We do have, again, the KD boundary goes way before that. We have went through those timetables and periods. There is no known knowledge of any kind of superstructured existence of a country till 5,000 years ago. And the oldest religion is 6,000 years ago. And 6,000 years ago was the beginning of the Indian culture.
The
It was
megalithic
not
structures
India, it
in
was an
Turkey,
Indian culture.
the megalithic structures in Turkey and in Derinkuyu and with the Göbekli Tepe date back to past 10,000 years ago. And these things
Yeah,
were
bro.
aligned with certain star structures. Like it's all been
Yeah,
proven.
bro. Yeah, I know that, my man. But they're not. They're how big? But not a massive amount of crazy structures. They're things that easily developed.
They didn't
Again, if you
acknowledge it.
sit on your back, bro, I want to tell you. I showed a guy one time. You lay on your back. You look at the stars, and we made a grama. We lined up the grama and then mathematically figured out how to do that. But again, you're talking about people that had nothing, no TV, no phones. They weren't on their phone. They had nothing but to do this. Yeah, they're the pioneers of what we're doing right now with computers.
I just
You
think that the
know,
knowledge that was lost prior to 6,000 years ago. That's all I'm saying.
it's very true. They said the city of Atlantis, but I have to go with what's structured, what we see. Yeah,
Yeah, but
we don't know. That's a guesstimate.
that shit would be shattered and destroyed unless it was buried and saved and preserved, like certain places.
Listen, Brian, I'm sure. I'm sure there was cultures and civilizations. I don't think there was colonies and countries
I don't
back
think it was like
then.
huge countries, but I believe
Well,
that
that's
there
what
was
I'm saying.
definitely.
It's just pockets of people doing and building things. Yeah, that's been going on for a long
That's
time.
what I'm saying,
That's
and I
been
think
going
there was
on for
knowledge lost.
25.
I think there was a
That's
lot of
going on
knowledge
for
lost.
25,000 years.
I think there was
And
a lot of knowledge lost. A lot of knowledge has been
of
lost
course
over
there
the
is.
years.
There's a lot of knowledge. We only know 10% of the ocean, man. What are you talking about? Yeah, of course.
That's what I'm saying. So like the Dead
But
Sea Scrolls are just
I'm
reluctant to
talking
survive.
about known civilizations that we know that are hard structured. We don't know that. Of course, I'm sure there was colonies and people, and they were building things. Hey, look, you're not going to build a straight wall up. They wanted to be able to build upon it. That's why pyramids were very common. It wasn't like a brain fit, but 12,000 years ago, yeah, I'm sure they were colonies. But I'm talking about structured countries. I'm talking about like Egypt and the Ottoman country.
Well,
Those countries are
I'm not talking about
they're
that. I'm
only
not
five
talking about that.
thousand years old, bro. They're only 5,000
I'm
years
talking
old.
about knowledge that was most definitely wiped out many times over. Many times over.
Well,
Many
yeah,
times over.
bro. We now know that some parts of deserts were oceans and lakes,
Well,
and we know that
I
the
mean,
earth shifted and changes. Yeah, there's shit we're going to still be discovering, but there's no way that somebody's going to tell me that beyond the 16,000 year period of people colonizing and moving were not structured in a country. We did not have the wherewithal to do that.
I think
We
you're
only
selling. I
saw.
think you're selling the human race short. I really do. I
No,
really
bro, I'm
do.
not selling the human shit race short. I'm sure there was pockets of people that were developing mathematics and developing their own thing. Yes, I'm not denying you that, but there's no way that you're going to tell me that any of the countries that we know about are older than 5,000 years old.
I believe. I
I'm talking
believe that
about
they're less
I'm
than
talking
1,000.
about religions and civilizations.
Yeah,
Those, I guarantee you, back then there was no religion. I guarantee you there was no religion. There was a belief of maybe, people were not awakening, they would die, and they didn't know, they didn't understand it. So they created a spirit. We have drawings of it 12,000 years ago. Yeah, I get that, bro. But I'm talking about structured countries like Egypt, I'm talking about empires. There was
right. No, I
nothing like
understand
that.
that, but I do believe that there was. I believe there's lost civilization. I'm not saying it was on a grand scale, but I believe there's a lot of knowledge that was lost, and little bits and
Oh
pieces of
yeah,
it managed
of
to trickle
course, man,
through.
without a doubt. Yeah, that's
A little bit of it.
Brian. I
We
agree
didn't
with you
just all of a
100%,
sudden
bro.
wind up with Egypt. We didn't just all of a sudden wind up with all this vast knowledge in Egypt, and
No, 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 no. Wait a minute.
there has to
Wait
have
a
been
minute.
small amounts of
Did
knowledge
you
that trickled
understand?
through.
Well, if you understood the terminology, you had people just like you have people now that were able to develop a jet engine, and we could never fathom that. People that are doctors. No, there's people that have insight, bro. There's people that have insight, and that insight is a gift given. You're able to develop these things, just like they developed the smallpox vaccination and the polio vaccination and all this. And it's people experimenting, trying, and proving their abilities. Again, when you have nothing else, the Maya Indians had nothing. They didn't have television. What did they do? They created star
Superstructures.
patterns.
They made superstructures on the top of mountains, and that would just be what's left if there were these crazy washes of water when poles flip and crazy
No, I don't think
flash
any.
floods and
That's
melting
not
of the
what
whole
killed the
ice cap.
Mayan Indians. That's not what killed the Mayan Indians. There
I'm
was
not
a
saying that's what killed them, though. I firmly believe that it was disease that came from the Spanish. That's what I believe would have killed these
yeah.
people. But
That's
what I'm
that.
saying is,
What
how did they make
mainly
these
happened,
unbelievable
right? What
structures?
mainly happened is that Chichen Itza, and all from Chichen Itza and Tulum, 90% of the population died from disease. Yes,
You had other
and
ones. You had
that's what.
Peru. You had
Yeah,
lots of stuff
but
back there.
again, we were writing stories about when the Nile River overflowed, and the Nile River overflowed by about 16 feet because they could tell by again, I don't know how Broski is like way beyond my capabilities, but he had a great explanation that again, you're writing a tablet and the seas rose, and that Noah the Ark. It's all. This is all crazy stuff. I'm not disagreeing with you. There was an existence of 25,000 years ago, not even 16 or 12,000 years ago, bro. You had the loss of the tribes of the Neanderthal. You had the death of the woolly mammoth. Yeah, a lot of them fell into ice pits, and I don't think it was anything cataclysmic. I guarantee you, it's just they were moving where the cold weather was, and most of them are found in Canada and on the outskirts of Buffalo and all these cities that stayed cold because the woolly mammoth couldn't survive without cold, neither the Neanderthal. When it started heating up and the snow was melting and created valleys, they couldn't hunt anymore. They couldn't develop themselves. But man, what about Cro-Magnon? They were inventing the wheel. They were inventing this. They were coming up with spears. They were coming up with tools. It's very common, bro. Yeah, back then, I don't think it was big civilizations. And Egypt is a very good explanation of how they developed from the Kush. The Kush were developing little pyramids, and they were making them bigger. Then they were making them bigger. There was followers that didn't like it. They wanted to break away from their beliefs, and that's what created Egypt. They went across the Nile River. They traveled over into Memphis. They started in Memphis, and this was 5,000 years ago. Then all of a sudden,
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I personally think that there was civilization and great
I don't
knowledge
think there was
prior.
country, maybe pockets of people, but not big civilizations. I doubt it very much.
I feel you.
Because
I feel you. And look,
bro,
and
we
again,
can go back.
you're heavily
I know,
educated.
but
So I believe you.
we discovered all that. right? We discovered all that. We discovered how what decimated areas, but it didn't decimate the world. It was not. It was not anything like the. It was nothing like the dinosaur which
Well, it
landed
wasn't
in
at all. No,
Mexico.
apparently the theory is that, or the belief is that, I mean, well, it's not the belief. It's actually been proven from California all the way to Turkey that this cataclysm took place there during the Younger Dryas. So I'm just saying, like, you got to check into it, man. There's some wild shit, and there's a lot of stuff
Oh
that
yeah, bro.
really
Listen again.
really points to
I'm
like
not arguing
serious
with you
stuff.
because I'm going back to 25,000 years ago.
That's what I'm saying. And I believe during that period there was
Okay,
information
so then
involved. I believe that goes
that's.
even further past
But
that.
my man, there is no way 25,000 years ago, the Neanderthal died. The Chrome Magnum was not wiped out. Okay, or there wouldn't be no Chrome Magnum. There wouldn't be us. We wouldn't even be developed as we are right now, if that was true. So yeah, it did do a lot of destruction, but by no means. Again, that's why we have a lot of the migrants going more north and into Canada. And that's what happened, bro. They moved more north, away from all of that. And again, that's migrating. They migrated away and they survived. But there's no way that there was vast civilizations that were lost. Again, back then we have proof of tribal existence, and the Neanderthal. We have proof that Cro-Magnon was in pockets, but there was no structured country. We would have that because we can go back to the KT boundary. We already went through that. We found death marks from all of that destruction. We already have proof of that. But by no means was Cro-Magnon wiped out. They moved more south. That became the Aborigines, which were developed, which became Indian. That's where a lot of them migrated into India. Yeah, it's just there was lucky and then there was unlucky. But it didn't get wiped out, Brian. And, yeah, they're saying, oh, that's a theoretical perspective because I read that article. And they're really saying, oh, the same way they still want you to think that aliens built the pyramids.
I, I no longer.
They want to question you
I used to
because
subscribe to that. I used to subscribe to the alien theory. I no longer do. But I'm just saying, like, there's more and more information that comes out every day with people that are doing research, but these people are considered fringe, so they're not backed by the intellectual communities. They're shunned by them. They're even
well,
fucking locked
listen,
out of
bro.
places for doing research.
Yeah, nobody wants you to take their beliefs away. That's like with the Second Amendment. Nobody wants you to take my gun away.
Of course, because
Again,
they have a belief.
everything has a great explanation, and I agree with you. I think there was really, I think there was a developmental period 16,000 years ago, before that period, where there was a lot of, again, the Neanderthal didn't automatically die because I have Neanderthal trait in
Well,
me.
we lived side by side with them. It's even believe that we actually wound up mating with them as well, because, like you just said, certain people have those genetics in them.
Right. So the gene pool didn't leave. Like, again, there was transformations of the gene pool. That's what created a lot of different, human beings. But Cro-Magnon survived because they also know that there was a great migration 16,000 years ago. And also they know that 16,000 years ago, it really started getting warm. So before the period that you're talking about, you got to remember that's why there's still people, because I have European genes and blood, and they moved away. So before that was even happening, my brother, that whole period of where that whole stream of destruction happened, yeah, it was like, I thought it was like maybe 2 months. I thought it was longer, but you might be right. It's like a month of a period of just meteorites, baby meteorites that were just flash blasting. But by then, because you got to remember, 25,000 years ago, the Neanderthal and Chrome and the woolly mammoth had to leave. They couldn't survive, so that's why they went all north. That's why Cro-Magnon and a lot of the gene pool survived, because before that cataclysmic event, a lot of the areas that were decimated, like Kansas, you know, and it was really like right through the belt. It came through.
The ice wall was basically the entire the whole.
Yeah, it was like the 32 latitude, I believe
Yeah,
it was,
it was
because
right
they
in the
had
middle
it
of it.
identified going into the Atlantic Ocean, which was really, which was amazing. But by then, we already migrated north, and that's why the Millie Mammoth and all the dead, all the skulls they're finding with hair and everything was because they're still frozen in the ground. But we migrated there before that happened, bro. That's what I'm saying. Then, of course, they slowly came back. That's why all the Eskimos came over to Alaska, came in down. You know, I have Native American blood in me. I'm not all Italian. And one of my cousins studied it, and he said we migrated from China.
Yeah, over the land bridge, through Russia,
Yeah,
over.
and exactly. So you know, bro, we know that we at that time period you're talking about, we were migrating, we were moving. You know. But yeah,
I
that
think
was a cataclysmic thing. But I think you're right about the timeline. I think I'm more off because I read it a while ago. You said it's 1 month. You said it was going on. There was like a
basically
period of.
took place in about a month, based because they also have like it shows like in the middle of America, there's basically like these mounds that are 30 foot high and like hundreds of feet wide, but it looks like ripples in the ocean, like you would see sand from receding
Right,
water. But if it's going to
right.
be this high and that far, it had to happen so fast. And the way it
Yeah.
cut out these pock marks, which basically look like when you drive over like the Hudson, when you drive over the Hudson over the Tappan Zee Bridge, like that shit that looks like that, it was basically caused by immediate crazy amounts of water that fucking came in.
What happens? What would have happened if that meteor didn't break up like that?
No, this wasn't. It
Because
wasn't.
they
No, it
said
was,
that meteor was 3 times the size as the one that killed the dinosaurs.
no. What they're saying about this one that I'm talking about during the Younger Dryas, it wasn't. It was. It came through the what's called the asteroid belt. So they only came in. These things weren't very big, but there was just so
No,
many of them.
bro. No, no. What happened was, um, this I know was because who was it? No, it was Edwards that wrote this. They know that the asteroid was so big that it was so vast and so split that the minute it hit the Earth's atmosphere,
Flash
that
boiled
it
the
started to
back.
disintegrate.
That was
It
back. That was
actually
back.
floated on the outside of the Earth's atmosphere. All the stones come, all the rocks come from the asteroid belt, but they're not as aggressive as they were
No, the
even
one
back
the
then.
one that wiped out the dinosaurs was massive. It was these ones happened over the course of like a few weeks or something like that, and they all came in
Yeah,
small
but it
ones.
was it was a breaking up of again the
They're
mass
about a
is what
kilometer
happened,
wide
but
down the
it
left
broke
side of the
up.
football.
Yeah, it was breaking up though. It was a massive meteor that was just breaking up and traveling 17,000 miles an hour in our atmosphere. And all the small parts were just crashing down on the earth.
Yeah, but
Stuff the size of Volkswagens.
right now in the right now in the asteroid belt, we're tracking only 200 bodies in that asteroid belt that are over a kilometer wide. The rest are all fucking small. You can navigate through it. It can be navigated through. It's wide enough. There's enough space between it that you can actually move through it. But when our planet rotates through this area, it gets pelted with small things. Like I said, a kilometer.
Oh yeah, bro, we get pounded every day.
Of
The Earth
course,
gets hit. The
absolutely.
Earth
No,
gets hit with hundreds of meteors
yeah,
every day, bro.
it actually just ended because we just passed through it in October. It happens every September through October. We go through it again and again and again. But what they're saying is when we get certain ones that are big enough, they actually came down and caused this cataclysm at that point in time.
Oh well, that was but again, it wasn't the look. Russia 7 years ago had that that meteor. They watched it coming to the Earth, and it was like daylight. You know,
I saw it. I know. It's wild shit.
that was how crazy is that, man?
Insane, bro. It blew down that whole fucking section of that shit blew windows out. Like it's crazy.
Yeah,
It didn't even
man,
touch
that
the Earth.
was.
It didn't even touch the Earth.
You know, when I saw, of course, I wasn't there, but I saw the film on it, and I was like blown away.
Seeing the car cameras is wild, man. Wild.
Yeah, we get hit all the time, bro. I know, and I know. Well, we come close to the asteroid belt because we're doing such an oval objection around the sun. You know,
10,600 years, some crazy shit like that. I'm just telling you, The only reason I even bother to bring this up is because I know you're a hyper intelligent dude. I'm telling you, like, there's more to it. There really is. I gotta believe that.
Hey, no, bro, listen, more to what? I mean, there's more to everything, my brother Brian.
100%.
Again, you know, we
You're
just
scratching the
discovered a
surface.
fish. We just discovered a fish in
Coelacanth.
the
Been
ocean
dead for over a million,
that,
like 3 million-year-old dead fish, and they
yeah,
just found it again.
that dates, no, well, they found fish that date back to the dinosaur.
That's the
They
thing. The
also
coelacanth.
found an organism. Did you hear this? They found an organism that was dead for it's over 3 billion years old.
You talk
They
about the
put
one
it
that
in
comes
a,
out of the permafrost that can kill us all.
well, no, they're finding microbes that are so
Yeah,
dangerous right now.
it's gonna wipe
But
out civilization.
I want this 3 billion year old um uh cell, this bacteria, when they put it in water to analyze it, it came alive. And a doctor, you know, if you ever read about Brodsky, he's really an amazing guy. But he wrote, you know, they want to end all this carbon emission stuff. They want to go all green, and they're trying to save the earth. But he said that what's melting out of the permafrost, like you just said, are diseases that will peel the skin off a person's body.
100%.
So when they discovered these cells, they literally added a bacteria into the ground to see if it would kill it, and it didn't do anything. It didn't do anything.
Oh no.
And so these guys are they're not hiding anything. They're trying to tell us, man, damn, do you people see what's going on? You know, and I agree with you, Brian. We don't know. You know, we make a lot of skepticism, but you know, I do know the time periods of like Egypt and Rome and
No, of
the
course.
Roman
Look, we
Empire.
have set guaranteed things that happen.
Yeah.
I just think that there's more and things that have been lost over
No,
time that we have
man,
no
without a
clue about.
doubt, you know, without a doubt. And you know what? The reason why even we look at how the Egyptians developed, you know, they were the real first ones to develop mathematics. The Romans stole it. The Romans really perfected geometry. You know, they were just Michelangelo really was just I mean, I read everything about that guy. Just a very, very incredible
He was a
person, man.
different
You
type of
know,
dude. He was a different
yeah,
type of guy.
these people come around once in a zillion
Generation
years,
changing.
but you know, Brian, I agree with you, man. You know, I think we had proof of the Neanderthal from 25,000 years ago, where they were really developing like tribes. They knew that they, you know, they couldn't get over. Like they would pick up a spider on the ground or a tarantula and start eating its body. You know, they were radicals.
Of
You
course, they're
know,
living
they
in the
had a
night.
lot of diseases. They just, but again, they were smart enough to know how to dwell in caves. They needed the snow because that was the only way they were able to capture the animals, or the animals would run faster than them.
Sure.
But they were the ones that were really beginning that. So yeah, I'm sure they were starting to build stuff and develop mathematics, of course, because you know why? If you start taking strings and then you cut that string in half, and all you're doing is focusing on developing that, you're going to fractionate that. You know, you're going to say an eighth of an inch, a quarter, a half, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8. You know, you're going to start developing that.
Of
I
course, and
noticed that
developing
because when I
language,
study, yeah,
and family patriarchal and hierarchy. And I'm just saying, like, I understand everything you're saying 100%, and you come from the education. So, like I always say, it's a damn near impossible to argue with an education, and you have a very good one. You're a very bright guy. But I'm
no,
just saying,
bro, I
like,
don't want to be bright, and I'm not trying to be brighter than
no,
anybody,
no,
but
you are, and you earn that because you studied, and that's guaranteed. That's known. I'm just
you,
saying,
you,
I
you know,
personally think that
I
you're
agree with you. Like, you know, what I'm curious about is I am going to read up more on. Did you ever read Chariots of the Gods?
yeah, no, that was Eric Van Daniken. That's what I'm talking about. But like, there's some ill shit. There's some ill
Yeah,
shit that
bro.
they try to deny as being true. Like, yeah, I
Well,
read Chariots of God.
he didn't come up with that
No, no,
theory.
of course not.
He
No, he
was
just
taking that
expanded
theory,
upon it.
but Danigan wrote about that, and what Danigan is trying to explain, he's not telling you, hey, I'm not putting this in your face as a gospel scenario.
No, it's
I'm
just an
telling
idea.
you, yeah, it makes everything questionable. You
And
know,
it makes a lot of it makes sense, and that's the whole thing I'm getting into.
oh, without a
The
doubt, man.
impact.
He was a brilliant guy. This guy's
Oh,
not a
absolutely.
yeah, he's not a crazy college educated guy. You know, he's not a Broski or an Edwards or a
I mean,
Stanton and
he's
all
very
these
educated,
guys.
but
You
I've
know,
actually seen him speak. I've been to what you call it, lectures of his before down in the city. Like I've met him. I met Eric Valdanica. He's a wild dude. You know what I mean?
bro. I never met him. I would
He's
love to meet him.
fascinating.
I did watch a lot of stuff that you know, when he did televised
Ancient
stuff, and
aliens, ancient
you know, and
aliens,
his
all
sightings and everything. Wow,
that
so that must have been a great experience, man.
Oh, dude, it was no, like I specifically went to go meet this dude. Like I'm well versed in that shit. That's what I'm saying. Like there's more to it. I don't have the college education specifically in that, but again, this is considered fringe stuff. It's concepts, but like where there's smoke, there's fire. That's all I'm saying. I don't know what happened. I don't know exactly what it is. I just know there's a lot of evidence out there that proves that it's more than likely that there's a lot of shit that we have no clue about that a lot of people in today's education system flat out deny, and they block people from going to certain places to do the research. They don't let them there, and if that's happening, then I gotta believe that there's something more to it, and they can't prove it, so they don't want it to be out there because it may disprove what the fuck they say, and
Well,
that's
hey, bro, you know what? You know what the problem is, Brian, is that look, you know, I talked about this on a podcast show about not bucking the system, you know, and of course, there's a lot of things we don't know and what's
you're
going
playing with
on,
people's beliefs and people's careers, and their whole lives are based off of this, and
bro.
civilization's based on this shit, and they don't want to have open questions. They want to know that we have everything tightly squared away, and that's
Did you ever
bullshit.
hear of the Philadelphia Project?
Of course, I have. Of
So,
course,
bro, you know, they found when they did this experiment,
these cats
they
refuse
found
to go home.
yeah, the ship moved in another place, and some of the soldiers were stuck in the metal.
It went from Philadelphia, it went from the Navy Yards in Philadelphia to Brooklyn Navy Yard and
How
then
fuck-
back almost immediately. And these cats refused to the hull of this ship. Crazy shit.
Now, I want to tell you something, man. This is really crazy stuff.
This is
You know,
wild technology, and that's what I'm saying. Like if that stuff exists, the possibilities are endless,
you
endless. And I
know.
don't believe it's alien. I believe it's all from here, whether or not it's from a different dimension or whatnot. Because that's the
No,
big
bro.
thing.
You know what it is. Look, you look at somebody. You look at a person like Michelangelo. He was an artist. He was a sculptor. He was a military engineer. He developed weapons. Everybody
He
thinks,
designed helicopters and tanks before even
well,
such
that
things were
was
even
Leonardo.
considered.
That was
That was
Leonardo.
Da Vinci. I'm sorry, that was
Leonardo.
Da Vinci. Yes,
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah, yeah. You know, so these are visionists, man.
100%.
You're
There's
given a
more to it.
vision. You're given a gift. You know, I'm a form of a visionary in what I do. But you know, me, I wanted to be practical. And like I said, if I didn't do something, I don't know something. I'm not going to say nothing about it. You know.
I feel you. I
And
feel you.
you can't study everything about religion. You get fascinated with certain things, and you study and develop it. And I agree with you 100%. We don't know fucking shit, and what
No,
we
we don't.
know
We're just scratching the surface, and
was scratching the fucking surface, brother.
there's like you said, Michelangelo. That guy in his abilities and his thought process and his concepts is divine. I believe like people like that are they're getting information from somewhere that we never got it. You know what I mean? But there's
Well,
certain
bro, you know
individuals.
what you know what it is. Again, it's called the touch. You know,
Yes, exactly.
he was developing ballistic missiles. You ever see those Russian missiles, bro, where they have like 50 ports and the missiles keep shooting out?
Yes,
Like,
yes, of
yeah.
course.
Well, Michelangelo was developing straps that shot out little spears that same way.
Yeah, that's what
You
I'm
know,
saying.
and you know,
Wow.
when in the Byzantine period and the Gauls were all attacking Naples and then, you know, Siena, and they were all defending themselves. This is what Michelangelo was really doing, which is pretty crazy, man.
That's what I'm saying. So like, if that dude was doing it then, just imagine the shit that we don't even know that the Egyptians knew. And then if there is any truth to what I was saying about a real civilization prior to that that was lost, just imagine what these motherfuckers could have known. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying it definitely happened. I'm just saying the possibility is there. And where there's smoke, there's fire. So if there's a chance it could have happened, then it's probably more than likely. You know,
Hey,
and
bro, I
you
want to
can't
tall
you
you.
can't trust all these intellectuals because people got reasons behind things too. You know what I mean?
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
brother, absolutely. You know, when I was reading up, and it really was the period of the Giza pyramids, which was Khufu. Khufu was a tyrant,
Yeah,
but
100%.
yeah,
He's a bad fucking guy.
yeah,
Imhotep. Like,
Khufu
that's a
was a
shame.
tyrant. I could, he actually literally will kill his servants if they drop something. I mean,
Well, he
and
claimed to be a
Snafu
god
wasn't
amongst
like
men
that.
too.
Yeah, Snafu wasn't like that. Kofu though, Kofu was very smart because when he said, "Hey, you don't have a house. I'm going to build you a house, but you're going to build my pyramid." And when they found the documents that they had to move 350 stone a day, or Kofu would be angry, and we didn't want to anger the god, trying to move my family closer to the burial pit. So when I die, my pharaoh can take me with him in the afterlife. That's the cradle. That's like Korea right now, North Korea.
Of course. They
That's a
believe in dynastic
religion.
shit.
And again, we're talking about religion because it is a form of religion. They looked at the pharaoh as a god,
Absolutely.
and
He
that
claimed himself to be a god.
yeah,
But people
bro. And
believed it.
and when you go to the Giza Museum, you can see there was a strong religion. They believed in the Book of the Dead. They
They were
believed
just
in
part of the occult. Osiris would
yeah.
take
They
you through the
oh yeah.
fucking.
Well, listen, Horus. That's where the whole
Well, I
story
mean,
of
the
Jesus
whole
came
story of the
from.
river Styx and all that. Like crossing into the crossing the river Styx into the afterlife. Like this is all shit that's just been perpetuated after, and people pick it
Yeah,
up,
well, bro, what
think that
they
they're
wanted
watching
to
it and
do.
reuse it.
Yeah, and it was really what was his name? Himian. Himian developed the story for Horus. Who was Osiris, was who was their god, but Horus is the son of Osiris, and he came from a virgin birth, and it was amplified. And when they baptized him, because the Egyptians were the first one to do baptisms, the Christian religion said, "Hey, that's a pretty cool thing. Let's do that." I mean, that's how sinister religion is.
It
But
really
they
is.
were geniuses because they made people believe that Horus was a real
God
person.
amongst men. Well,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
and this really amplified the strength of religion. The Romans really took that. The Romans were the one that really developed the Roman Catholic Church, Brian. But it's pretty sinister how it all comes together and how you take all these pieces. And yeah, who the hell knows what they were doing?
of course. And here's a great story about this. This is a great story. It's more recent, obviously. Christopher Columbus, right? When he came to America, they realized that they didn't bring enough shit to make it through the winter. So they went to the local Indians and like, look, we need all this stuff out of your supplies because you guys got stashes. And the Indians were like, no, we're not giving it to you. So he asked them again, and they're like, no, we're not giving it to you. So we're going to make it to the winter. So being that they had, intricate knowledge of stars, they had star charts and all that, Christopher Columbus knew that, like in a week or something like that, there was going to be a full lunar eclipse and a red moon at that. So he came out to the Indians. He goes, listen, we need all that shit from you. And they're like, no, we're not giving it to you. He goes, all right, check it out. My God is a lot stronger than your God. 7 days from now, if you don't give us the shit that we need, he's going to black the sun, the moon out of the sky and then turn it red. And if you don't give us our stuff, he's going to smite you and kill you. Your
Yeah.
God can't do anything. And fucking 7 days later, that shit happened and they gave him everything they needed. And it's just a little bit of knowledge can be fucking something supernatural to somebody else. So I just,
Hey,
I
bro,
gotta believe there's
you
more to
know,
a lot of stuff out there.
yeah, look,
I
again,
have a
when
wild imagination.
before the great eruption from Mount Vesuvius, it used to erupt erratically, like the weather would change, and all of a sudden Mount Vesuvius eruption. People used to run; they used to scurry.
Yep.
That's why there was such a low population around those areas, because they didn't want to be close to the god when he got angry. That's what they thought.
That's why
So,
that's why you can
yeah,
walk
there's
without feet like that.
radicalism in all this, but the form of religion was to control people.
100%.
And that's why they wrote on a lot on the papyrus. The Egyptians wrote, when Himeon wrote the story of the Immaculate Conception.
Yep.
That was to gather the strength that you would believe in the gods. Do you want to anger Osiris? They used to. That was the quotes that they were finding to the people that were building the pyramids, Brian. It used to say, the gods were angry yesterday, and Kofu was angry at all the workers, but he supplied us with dried fish and garlic. He gave us an abundance of wheat to make bread, and he filled our hole with charred wood because that's what they used to cook with. So that's the mentality. I was feared that I was responsible for these heresies, and that the Kofu would punish me and not allow me to be buried with him. So how I worked harder.
Of course. Well,
There
I mean,
was
look,
one about
even the Nazis did it on the outside of Auschwitz. It said through hard work you can reach like redemption or some shit like that. I mean, like I'm just saying it's the same kind of concept. It's obviously very different, but I'm saying same concept. Like here, do this and you can achieve this. It's like Jesus Christ. Like people have been manipulating other people with you know the unknown for years, or things that they don't know but the other people have knowledge of. So like, I just think there's a lot of knowledge that we've been denied and missed out on. And
oh,
I think
bro,
if we
listen,
had
they
that, we
they
would know a
think
lot more.
they were finding stuff out of Mesopotamia of it was a contraption, and it was about
The anti-Catherian tool, the shit they found off of Greece, you're talking about, right?
yeah, and
Wow.
it was 7,000 years old.
The computer.
Yeah, and they couldn't figure
I
out
don't know what it does.
how they were able to come up with the mathematics. And then here's we've been what the hell was his name? He's in the University of New Hampshire, really smart guy. And he broke it down. He goes, he was making circles, and what they did was make these circles that spin
Yeah.
in different directions to log into different things.
And you can fit
And
12 circles within a circle, and then if you get that to spin, it's all about energy and
yeah,
power and
it was
harnessing.
really bizarro, man. It was really bizarro.
This
Then
is
they
celestial
found,
shit. This is stuff that takes place. It takes place in atoms at a cellular level, but also out in space, and it's all the same fucking thing. It's all based on sacred geometry. That's what I'm saying. Like everything is so mapped out and so set.
well, it is. Listen, it is. It's all geometry. You
Of
know,
course, and that's what I'm saying.
we're
Like
not we're
it's
not
planned
designed
out.
to live it. We're not designed to live in a square room because nothing we do or nothing on the earth applies to anything square.
No,
Everything
nothing's
is
supposed to be
round
square.
and has motion, and
Everything's
and
alive.
that's what my karate's based on. And yeah, but it is bizarre. It is bizarre because we really are starting to,
We're starting
I
to get
think,
it.
yeah, we're starting to get it. But back then, again, a lot of people would question the motivation, and the motivation was there because that's all you're thinking about every day.
Yeah, they have
Again,
nothing else. And
hey,
their
Brian, you go
entertainment was to
home,
look up at the sky.
right? Listen, you go to work, you come home, you just work for the Pharaoh. What are you doing? You're sitting around in your house. You have a fire going. You're eating dried fish and garlic, which was their main diet. You're eating bread. You're having a little what was it, corn wine or wheat wine they made, and then you're sitting there with your family. What are you doing? You're writing. You. What else are you doing? You're gonna put your
Contemplating.
feet up. Yeah, you're gonna start putting your feet up, and some guy's gonna pop his head in the screen and start making potatoes. There's no television, no. There's no phone.
Plus
You
also
had to
back
be.
then
Yeah.
they found a lot of the alcohol that they had, that like especially like the Egyptians, in the bottles of alcohol they found actually what they believe were psilocybin mushroom traces. So they
Oh,
think
bro.
the reason they used alcohol was to preserve the mushrooms, and then the acacia tree, which is what they believe the burning bush started from. Like this is all.
Yeah, I know. That's a little.
But I'm saying
Man,
no,
that
but
whole story's whack, man. But
no,
guess
no, no.
what?
But I
Yeah.
think that's what it could be that allowed people to contemplate these fucking wild theories, that they were able to tap into things because they were thinking on different levels than a normal person could be. And I'm just saying, I don't know for a fact. I'm just saying it's possible. I think it's
Listen,
expansion of the mind.
the Old Testament again. The New Testament was applied obviously to the Old Testament because the Old Testament is there, and then when they're writing, hey, let's do this. This sounds good, and we'll apply
Let's
it
make
to
a new
this.
character, a bigger, better character who performs miracles and all this
Right.
stuff.
Yeah. But in all reality, you look at these people that say they're healers. Now, did you remember that guy Popoff,
Uh,
Billy Popoff? Now, I don't know how old you are, but 35 years ago, this guy was kicked off television, and all of a sudden he's popping back up again. They found a receiver, and one of the people dropped the receiver, and the guy who recorded it and it was built. Somebody telling Popoff that a person's coming down with a leg injury. They had people outside. Oh, what's the matter? Are you okay? And they didn't know that they're working. Oh, I have a bad knee and my two hips. So all of a sudden, Billy Popoff, they would tell him, and Billy Popoff would go, "There's somebody with the bad knee and the two better hips." And the woman, "I want you to come down. I felt you coming." The what?
Yeah,
She comes down, bro. But again, and that's a very easy thing to explain. People say,
It's
"Oh,
like
how
smoke
was
and
that
mirrors.
able woman to walk?" Because when your adrenaline goes, you know what happens when your adrenaline goes, bro. You can do things that you weren't able to do, man. Period.
100%. There was a Nazi. There was a Nazi who basically like his entire unit got killed, and he grabbed all the supplies he could take. And back then they had the
Are you talking about the
methamphetamine pills.
Second World War?
Yeah, yeah. So he
Okay.
grabbed like a whole bunch of these methamphetamine pills that we gave out. It was like no dose or some shit that we gave out in America, but the Nazis had it too. It was methamphetamine. They gave the pilots.
Yeah.
He ate like 60 tablets of this shit instead of
Yeah.
one. This dude walked for like 25 days straight, didn't sleep,
Yeah.
fucking killed a bunch of people, fucking did all this ill shit, didn't eat anything, and he fucking made it back. Like adrenaline, like the human body is amazing. It's very frail, but it's also very, very strong. So
Oh
like
yeah.
the possibilities are almost endless, but I think it's really wild. I mean, I definitely agree with a lot that education and that scholastics say, but I think there's just so much more, and I think the human race is just so capable, so unbelievably capable. And I like you said, we're just scratching the surface with knowledge, and I think it goes way deeper than we'll ever know.
Hey,
Way
let me tell
deeper.
you something. I have I have a friend, and my cousin was involved with some heavy stuff with the Navy, and he told me a story 25 years ago. Jimmy, that now 25 years ago, Jimmy, we're developing weapons like lasers. That's 25 years ago.
That was the beginning of Star
Now,
Wars. That was the Reagan shit.
yeah, now, no, this was before Reagan, not the Star Wars and the space. I'm
Oh,
talking about
yeah.
literally lasers that go on ships.
Oh yeah.
We're now developing weapons where we don't need to use any kind of gunpowder.
Yeah, no, it's high
And
energy focused laser weapons.
yeah,
Yeah,
but we now have a laser. The USS, what was that? Oh man, it began with an L. And this thing popped out, and they just showed it on the History Channel the other day, and I was like,
they can
"Holy
bend
shit!"
around the curvature of the Earth too. It can fire very
Yeah,
far.
my cousin. I said my cousin's right. He said you're going to see this laser on a ship, and it's going to point at a plane or a jet flying in the sky, and it's going to burn out all its electronics. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's what they use now. That's basically the concept. The 4 steps for Star Wars, because Star Wars is what they just fucking shoot the front of an ICBM and it just nullifies the dangerous part of it and kills it. Basically, it's
yeah,
like, yeah, I mean, if they got that shit now or had it in the '80s, they had to have been developing it in the '50s. But like you said, the whole Philadelphia experiment, that shit, that's crazy. That's teleportation. That's wild. If these
my
motherfuckers had
man.
imagine how bad that.
They still have it under wraps, and they're still denying that it did this and they
Of
did that.
course,
But we
a lot of
already
people
have that
thinking
shit,
about
man.
it.
All that shit you saw on Star Wars. Yeah, absolutely.
It's real.
You
That's what
know,
I'm saying. So like, there's so much out there that they'll never let us, the normal people, the everyday people, will never know about it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's right.
but it's wild.
That's right.
So if we have
No,
that,
but getting back to religion and the unanswered questions. A lot of stuff it all was developed from us. Bro, you were just saying, you really thought that the pyramids were built by aliens, but again, I tell people, don't take my word for it. Go to Egypt.
of
You'll
course,
see the obelisks being chipped out of the ground.
of course, no, no. And I said like the originally, I'm talking about when I was 10 years old. I was thinking that shit
Yeah,
was
a
built
lot
by
of people
aliens.
did. Hey, bro, guess what? I have a guy that's close to my age. He's a bus driver. I was talking to him on. He goes, "Oh, come on, Jimmy. The pyramids were built by aliens." And I'm like,
I
dude,
used to
man.
believe that shit, but that's what I'm saying. Like I keep coming back to this shit. Like I deaded that shit for like 10 years. Didn't look at it. It's
Yeah,
like
I'm
fuck
like,
it, like,
man.
I
Dude,
I
where
don't
are
even
you
know if
coming
aliens are
from?
real anymore. I think personally, I think it's just interdimensional these days. I don't think it's from outer space. I think it's from different dimensions, different
Well,
different
bro, you know
realms
what
that
it
we can't
was? I
see.
want to tell you. Jofer. Jofa was not a. Again, he was a. He was building a statue of Osiris, but Jofa was very interesting. Jofa, when they first were building a pyramid in Imhotep, he didn't. It wasn't exactly what he wanted. It was the step pyramid, and Imhotep was, saying, "Hey, you know what? I wanted Jofa wanted it more pointed. He wanted it more like angled, and Imhotep didn't know how to build it. He didn't.
Yeah,
They
he's like,
they,
"I gotta
they were
figure this out."
experimenting, right? Then they took a Kush pyramid, which were very radical. These people were radically religious. Like their beliefs were, if you kill my friend, we murder you. It was really radical religion. But
Sure.
they built their pyramids at a 63 degree angle. But when they started building at the 63-degree angle, that's where it's called the bent pyramid. They were fucking up. They said, "Holy shit! We can't. We have to." But so we have to stop, and that's when they started going at a 43-degree
43.
angle.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and now the Giza pyramids. By the time Khufu said, "I don't want to make the same mistakes my father made. I want my pyramids to be bigger, bolder, and better." And the alignment of the three stars, which was an occurrence of the Egyptian religion. Again, bro, I want you to look up. Don't take my word for it. Look up the grammar. It's Gromo,
Yo, no, I
and
definitely am. I definitely
yeah,
am.
it was in the museum, and when it was, they had an original grammar,
Huh.
and I couldn't fucking believe it. It was genius. It had these circular holes at these three dimensions and points. So they showed how they aligned it with the stars. And when you see that, you're like, where the fuck did these people,
It's based off
you
of what
know,
Ryan built, and that matches the exact placement of the pyramids. The three.
yeah, bro,
Pyramids
they did
at
it with a
Giza.
grammar. If you ask, you can even ask Google, they'll say they did it with a grammar.
Yeah,
And I didn't know until I went in 2007, because you really don't get everything when you go there. I'm
of
sorry.
course
And
not. It's vast. It's super vast.
yeah, but when I went in 2007, I was like, I started studying this section that I really, we had to run through because we were leaving. And but it was fascinating, man. It was
Yeah, I gotta
fascinating.
get out there. I got because I there's a lot of things I want to specifically see.
Oh,
Like
bro, listen, I strongly recommend that you go to Egypt.
that's
Look,
what
it's
I'm
a
about.
desert. It's a fucking desert. The Gi from Cairo, they're only like 12 miles, man. It's
Yeah,
only
fuck
12
that.
miles away. You see them
Right,
from
because
there.
you see the pyramids and you see the desert, but if you turn around from that orientation, it's a whole fucking city that you never ever see. They never show you that. It's wild, you know what I mean? So like,
Oh yeah,
it's
bro. But
crazy.
I got to tell you, the food is unfucking believable.
I fuck
It's
with
un.
mine and all that shit.
Yeah, the culture, the people are very friendly. I thought the Egyptians were very friendly. They were very nice. I mean, back then, that's 16 years ago.
Yeah, no, they're super friendly. They're like, hey, buddy, I'll say whatever you want. Like, I grew up with a couple
Oh
kids.
yeah,
Like,
we were smoking hashish.
yeah, fuck yeah, bro. They got the real deal out
And
there.
let me tell you something, man. I don't care what anybody says.
That's different out there.
Oh yeah, bro. It's just a different color. They drink this weird drink. I forget what the fucking name it was. 16 years ago, I got wasted. It was a lot of shit they drank was a wheat wine too. It was really strange stuff. They
Huh.
made a cocoa wine. Pretty fucking crazy, man. But the culture and the food, it's yeah, Egyptian food was phenomenal, man.
Yeah, bro,
I,
I
I
got to
I
try it.
would go back. I would go back. I was in Israel, and actually,
I want to go to
I was
Tel
going to
Aviv.
go. What's that,
I want to go to Tel Aviv. I want to go to Temple Mount. There's a lot of things I want to see.
bro? Masada. I was with this girl Tippy, and I went to stay with a family, and I was there for like a month. Went to Lake Tiberia. When
Oh,
you see, that's where all the Dead Sea Scrolls really come from. That right in what they had buried in Masada. But again, everything was mysterious because of the seven roaming hills of Italy. And they talked very much about the apocalypse when Rome was coming to kill. Rome came in and started decimating everybody. They started killing all the Israelites, kids, women. They didn't care. You attack a Roman citizen, you die. They came down with a fucking fury. It was amazing.
yeah,
But
they
that's
brought
what
the hand
the
of God down.
what's that?
I said they brought down the hand of God, basically, is what they called it.
Yeah, bro. You know, again, they used to think Caesar was, Caesar was a deity, man. You know, the people were structured around that. They didn't know any better, man. You
He was
know.
just a giant creep.
Yeah, yeah, that's right, man.
People back then
Yeah,
were fucking evil, evil,
it,
evil.
bro. The Romans, they were barbaric, man.
Oh,
You could walk down the street, and if you didn't answer a Roman soldier properly, or if you looked up at him,
cut your head off.
bro, yeah, it was sinister, man. They used to, uh, man, it was bad. You know, well, I studied a lot of Roman history, and honestly, as being part Italian, when I was in Rome, I took my daughter for her 30th birthday, and there was a lot of black migrants that came in.
Sure.
And one of the Roman cab guys looked at me and he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Man, there's a lot of people here migrating in. I heard in Sicily too." And he goes, "We're being paid back." That's
For
how that. Yeah, they would literally, bro. They would
the
took the
rules
they
were
took.
atrocity.
Yeah, they just you're coming with us. You're slaves now. You ain't nothing. You know. They
Yeah.
made countries take all their gold. They were worse than Genghis Khan, man. They were
And
fucking.
that's what it was back then. It was legions would just roll across and just
Oh,
take.
bro, they were monsters, man.
Yeah.
You know, that's why you have a lot of Irish people that have Italian names and have Italian blood in them because they were just, hey, look, guess what? The Romans got paid back when the Gauls invaded. That's why you have a lot of German and French Italians. They came in the Byzantine period and said, and paid us back big time.
Sure. Well, something like 12% of people are related to fucking what's his name? Fucking from the uh from the Mongols. Who was that guy? I can't think of his name.
Oh, Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan. Yeah, 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 exactly. So like
Yeah.
12% of people are related to this cat, or more.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
bro. He was well. I think maybe Genghis Khan. He was another bad one, man. He actually would point at it. He was like Nero, point at a guy. Nero, when they built the Colosseum, uh, he would point at one of even his citizens or one of the peasants and take that guy and throw him in there. I want to see the lion eat another person.
oh yeah, 100%. I mean, back in the day, like Genghis Khan, they would encircle like thousands of miles, a gigantic circle, and just close in, and
Yeah,
everything. I mean, people, animals, everything would just
yeah.
get schwacked, and it's like they changed the carbon footprint of the Earth back then. These fuckers were on horses.
Yeah, bro. You could look back at Alexandria, but nothing was as devastating as the Roman Empire. They
Well,
really
yeah,
took over Algeria. I
they took
mean,
over the
in Israel, they named the lake when Tiberius was Caesar. Uh, uh, they named it Lake Tiberius. A lot of towns were named after all these. My chief of my northern army. This is your city, and it was named after him. There was Italian names in Israel. It
Oh,
was
they
pretty
controlled
weird.
everything from from down there all the way up into the Middle East and all the way
Oh,
across and
bro, they were.
France
Yeah,
and
they just.
Germany and
But they
wild,
did the
man.
same thing Germany did. Like they
They set
wore
up outposts.
themselves out. Look at Russia, bro. This
Russia.
is not a religious war. This is probably the first war that's not a religious war, which is a war of having a unity of Russia back.
Well, that's what he wants to do. He wants to bring back the former USSR.
Yeah. And Kiev, I've been there many times, bro. My girl's missing, heartbreaking.
My friend's father lives there. My friend's from Ukraine. He lives here, but
Are
his
you
father lives in
serious?
Kyiv.
Well, they're bombing Ukraine now. How's he doing, man?
Haven't heard anything, and I asked him about it like about a year ago. He didn't even acknowledge me, so I was like, "Oh man." But I know his father.
Man,
His father lives on the outside, like on the outside of town, and in the summers, him and his buddies run a summer camp out in like the woods, like in the mountains. So this dude, if anything, he's probably out there running around doing shit. You know what I mean?
have
Like
you ever been there?
no, I haven't.
It's a fucking beautiful city.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
I
I've seen
love
it.
the Ukraine. Do you know that big square in that tower you saw, and then you saw that big apartment look like a big separate building?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I stayed on the 16th floor, looking right down at that.
Like you mean
When
the square where like that whole like revolution shit went on like 7 years ago or whatever? The winter.
Oh no,
War?
I was going. I've been going there for 15 years,
That's wild.
but I was in that hotel um, right before all that war started. I got out just in the nick of time. They closed the airport a week later.
Fucking crazy. Check this out.
Yeah,
So
I said goodbye. I said goodbye to my girlfriend. She was supposed to come with me, and she wanted to go visit her mother. And she said, "No." Everybody was like, "No, Russia's not going to attack. They're playing a political game."
oh, well, your
Next
girl's
minute,
still
man.
there right now?
What's that?
Your girl's there now?
My girl?
Yeah, she's there now, you said?
No, the Chetans took her. They were 17 girls out of a building were taken.
Oh my God, Jim, I'm so sorry. That's
Yeah,
man.
bro. I
Russians are fucking savage, bro.
man, they were raping
Fucking
my friend
animals.
Dimitri. My friend Dimitri said that they were raping 9 and 8-year-old girls, and
I've heard horrible things with these fuckers. My boy went back to Albania back in like the '90s when the
oh
whole
man,
fucking,
forget it.
bro, he wound up staying at 14 years old. He wound up fighting in the war. Everybody else in his family left. He got them out. He stayed and fucking he told me shit that was unreal, unreal. And
Yeah,
I've been a war
yeah.
historian my whole life, amateur obviously, but he told me shit that it gives me nightmares. The shit that I heard from him. The crazy
Bro,
thing.
my friend Dimitri, who was when the Russians came in, some towns they would stay and some they'd leave, or some they would retake. There was a guy with 2 tourniquets strapped on his legs. They with two Russian shoulders, blew his bottom of his kneecaps off,
Oh,
and raped his wife in front of him. The whole platoon raped his wife, and then shot the wife and left him living.
yeah, well, that's the kind of
They
shit
said when
that
they picked
crosses.
him up, the guy was not able to say it. So, yeah, man, it's
They're
fucking
savage.
bad, bro.
It's straight atrocities. They're like right now, like they're not fighting a military campaign, Russia against Ukraine. They're bombing civilians because they want to make it the worst atrocities ever. That way, that they just break their spirit and give up. But like the thing is when you do that to people, you just fucking you strengthen their resolve. You make them fucking hate, and people cannot put that down.
Yeah, you're right, Bri. It's really
And
and
these people are
again,
tough. These people are tough. My boy, my boy whose father lives there still. My buddy Rod. They moved here right after the whole Chernobyl thing. His parents moved here. Well, his mother and him. Um, but his grandfather during World War II was in the Russian. I guess it was KGB or whatever they had before that. It's not FSB. It was KGB or predated that. And before the whole like we before we got down with them against the Nazis, basically we had American spies in the village where my buddy came from. His
right?
grandfather his grandfather chased these two American spies like 12 miles out into the woods, captured both of them, killed them, and brought them back. And to this day, there's still a fucking statue of his grandfather in the middle of his village for whacking out two American fucking special agents. Like that's
Yeah,
wild shit. You know what I mean? Like this.
yeah, bro.
People
Listen,
are different.
it could be anybody in anybody's family that's attached to a lot of things that happen in this world.
100%.
There's a big thing. Richard Nixon was a very religious. He was probably one of the most religious presidents, but he had talked about what you just mentioned about the KGB, where they captured a KGB agent that was actually a high-ranking
CIA agent.
person. Yeah, and Nixon interacted with that whole thing, and they wound up exchanging him. I don't know why it was a very secretive thing, but it was a very delicate matter to somebody that was a spy from America. Now, the Russians normally will kill you, but for some reason, it was who the hell was the guy? Khrushchev.
Khrushchev. Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, and because Khrushchev wanted this guy, so he made this exchange, and Nixon was the one that intervened in that exchange.
Huh.
And he comes from a real radical sanct, a real Russian radical sanct. They were looking to decimate America. They wanted to decimate America.
Of
But
course, they're the
yeah,
evil
bro, there's so much
empire.
conspiracy. There's so much crazy shit. But and talking about having a relationship, that was my ex-wife's cousin's uncle's brother that was involved in that. I mean, he's passed away. This is years ago, but yeah, and my wife had told me that story. Actually, her mother had told me that story because it comes from her side of the family. But just think about how radical that is that you know these people that are doing this shit at this level. It could be the guy that you're sitting next to and talking to, you know?
Of course. I mean, clandestine shit happens and these people are real. You know what I mean? Like, you read this shit or you
Yeah.
see it on TV is one thing, but like to know these people existed, to know for a fact, like
Yeah.
like I said, this kid, this is a very, very, very good friend of mine, a very good friend of mine.
Hey,
And
bro, you
I
know,
hate
that's
to say
why.
it, but you can't.
Hey, listen, Brian, that's why you have to be very careful how we talk and how we speak. And one thing my uncle had taught me is, never speak a negative about the government.
Absolutely not.
Remember that guy in Brooklyn, Brian? Did you ever hear the story of that Jewish kid? He was a computer guy, and he said something about the government or did something, and the next minute, the guy was gone.
They just disappear, people. I personally, I didn't hear about that one specifically, but
Yeah,
that's
I'm trying to think of his name. He was a Jewish computer whiz, and he did something, and he started making remarks about the government and some shit that he took information out of. A
huh.
week later, the guy was gone.
They just disappear people for no reason. There's
You
tons
know,
of unsolved
I
cases.
mean, no matter how I might feel or how sinister I might think things are,
There's reasons
we,
behind
we,
it.
we have done bad things too. You know, this
Oh, of
country has done
course.
bad things, and in the name of religion. But I
Absolutely.
don't think we went out to the extent of raping 9-year-old girls and just shooting little kids, just driving by and shooting an old man trying to make a living, or picking up potatoes because his neighbor had him in the backyard and he said, "Come get some peppers too and feed your wife." You know what I'm saying, bro?
Sure, but check it out. If we're the leaders of the free world right now, I imagine we probably did some really bad shit that we can't even think of.
Oh man, please. My friend was in the Vietnam War, bro. He is so shell shocked from what he saw and the things that he did.
My uncle came back and could never really put it back together. He never
Yeah.
could put it back
So
together.
I feel very sorry for your uncle because if he was there and it's anything of what my friend
He's been
experienced,
in Utah Valley, man. He's seen the worst of it.
oh, forget about it, man.
You know what the
Then
worst
he,
part
then
is? He didn't
he,
even sign up. He fucking punched a cop when he was drunk in the Bronx. They were like prison
yeah,
and
that's
fucking
what happened with my friend. But guess what? It took religion. It took religion to save him.
my uncle was
So
very
again, sometimes religion does have a good purpose,
100%.
you know.
100%. And like I was huge about the military, and he was too. He was big. He was big about it. You know.
Were you in the military, Brian?
No, I wasn't. I wanted to be. I actually I graduated in 2000 from high school, and the day after 9/11 was in a recruiter's office for the Marines. Went with my friend. They didn't want to know my friend, but they fucking wanted me bad, like bad. And the second they showed so much interest in me, I instantly was like, wait a minute, why do they want me so bad? If they just were like, okay, here, so whatever, they were just cool. I would have gone
Right.
immediately. But they were way too up on me, and I was like, what? Why do they want me so bad? Like, I started questioning it. Then I listened to my girlfriend and my mother and shit, and then I let them talk me out of it. Definitely regret that, but at the same point, I've had friends that came back and were like, dude, you're better off having not gone. So I don't know how I feel about that, you know, but I know what's happening with our vets today is unbelievable that they're coming home and killing themselves left and right. Like it's
Hey, bro, you know, this is what bothers me is that, you know, we're so critical on making sure that the Kardashians stay on television or Caitlyn Jenner gets the Person of the Year award
we
when a
can't help
guy that
ourselves.
saved the whole fucking platoon and went back and pulled the Forrest Gump going back and forth, pulling these guys out of danger, and then lost one of his legs and got blown up and got shot.
Yeah, and then he
He
comes back and gets no help.
That guy was not the man of the year. Caitlyn Jenner was the man of the year because he came out of his shell and became a transgender.
And then on top of that, he fucking killed some woman in a car accident. Nobody said boo about that shit.
Bro, you know, let me tell you something, man. How twisted we are as
It's
individuals. We are filled. This country, again. I don't know if you watch Bill Maher, but Bill Maher, and again, I beg you to watch Religious. You will go like this. Holy shit!
Yeah, no, I'm gonna fuck
Because
with it. And believe me, I've watched a lot of weird shit. I
Yeah, he's doing it. He's doing it in a very. He's making it very simple for the idiots in this world, and
Yeah,
they
of
still
course.
don't get it. You know,
Of
they
course.
still.
Of
You know,
course.
one woman said, quoted, "I'm going to come down in the rapture, and I'm going to be on a white horse, waving a powerful flame sword," and I'm like looking, and again,
It's straight out of the Book of Revelations.
yeah, Bill Maher put it pretty eloquently, and described the scenario of how it's religious, like it's ridiculous.
Of course. Of
So
course.
again, and when you see this movie, you start to, my sister watched it. My sister goes, "Oh my God, Jim, you might be right." I said, "Dawn, I'm not trying to be right. I'm giving you,
It's going to open your eyes to
I'm
what's
asking you, why when I ask a Christian a question, they automatically avert to another question
Yeah, of course, they
and
answer you the question.
ostracize themselves from what I was trying to, what I was asking them.
Of course,
I listen.
whenever you ask somebody a question and they fire back with a question, it's because they're being disingenuous because they either
Yeah,
don't know
absolutely.
or don't believe.
Exactly, Brian. Exactly. And they're
I understand.
really,
I'm a
yeah,
super skeptic. That's what I'm saying. Like I used to, you don't understand. Like I used to question priests. You know what I mean? That's why I said when I speak to rabbis, I
yeah,
ask
they
them these
hated me
things.
for
They
that,
have different
man.
beliefs. They have
Yeah,
different
I was
ideas.
hated for that.
Yeah, but I actually in second grade I got thrown out of religious instruction and had to get sent home, which was not okay in my house at all. And then when I got home, my mother finally, eventually
When
asked
were
me,
you? Brian? When were you born?
1982.
Okay, in 1976, there was a priest and very valued priest. 100,000 people marched into Madison Square Garden because he said it was the end of the world. Gathered $15 million, and when all of a sudden, when the time passed,
He dipped.
he said he went, "God has granted us salvation. We should all be happy." But you know how many times they were predicting the earth was going to end, and they were doing an historical clock from the Torah, and how they were trying to explain that the tablets, look, it's the same thing as Nostradamus when he was making predictions. Yeah, it's a guesstimate.
Of
You know
course,
how many
2012.
times
2012, based on the Mayan calendar, world is or time as we know it's supposed to end. It's like no, it's just an evolution into a new
Oh,
time.
you mean you're talking about 2012?
I was banking on that, bro. I didn't have a plan past that one. I was like, this is it.
No, no. 2012 was that Venus comes completely around
It's in its full in
our
its full.
galaxy, and it happens every 26,000 years.
Exactly.
It's
And when
called the
their
dark
calendar
rift.
resets.
We come center of the universe. We come center of the solar system. That's why we're traveling at a bigger velocity.
And also at that time, the Earth falls flat on its axis, and it actually sits straight up and down for like a couple seconds.
Listen, yeah.
We complete our entire axis basically. It's
Hey, listen,
26,000
man.
years.
What about living on the Earth when the moon was half the distance from us, and whole entire oceans were wiping completely on the other side of the Earth, man?
Definitely.
Just think of the radicalism and the things that we have to learn and study, bro.
Of course,
Are
and
we
plus
still on the air? Are we still on the air?
yeah, we're still on. Fuck it. But
Hey,
yeah, I mean, we're here
hey,
for a
listen,
brief amount.
this is a 2.5 hour segment of the reality of religion.
Yeah, we
But
got we got two people watching us, so it's just me and you bullshitting here.
oh, there's two people watching us?
It says two. They probably fell asleep or they left their shit on.
Yeah, they probably fell asleep. Hey,
Have
but
a good time with the next 3 hours.
Brian, it's great talking to you, and I'm looking forward
Absolutely.
to the next segment. And we're going to be doing, we're actually going to be talking about the Torah. We're going to be talking about the Jewish religion, and
Outstanding, because I saved it.
yeah, and
I
how
didn't
the
answer the question.
practicing faith, how the religion came about, which is really interesting. So that's our next
Outstanding.
topic, and we're going to be going over the Muslim stuff and everything. But
I'm
hey,
with you.
anyway, Brian, next week, whenever time, talk to Mukta when we'll do it.
Of course, of course. Yeah, me and him, we do a bunch of podcasts together, so I'm definitely here, and I'm
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
yeah, man. We had like 9,800 people watch our shit last week or a couple weeks ago.
Wow, that's great. Hey, bro, let me ask you a question. At one point, you know, again, that you do watch religious, do look into. I wouldn't go now, but I would go like in March if you ever can. You get off of work and you can take a trip. Go go to Egypt, man. Go to Cairo. I mean, you don't want
I've
to go
been
anywhere
wanting to
else.
go there
Cairo's where you want to go, but
I've been wanting to go
it's
there for a long time.
yeah, bro. I would make the trip to go because then you're gonna go like this. Holy shit, Jimmy was right. This is all hand carved and hand chiseled and handmade.
Of
But
course,
you
of
know,
course. And I
they
hear when you
know that
see it,
they know
especially
the
in America,
element.
it's so great. Like you're like, oh my god, it is the seventh wonder of the world. Like it's the Great Pyramid. It's got that name for a reason. I want to see it with my own eyes.
Yeah, bro. You know, look, I've been to all three of the pyramids, but never in my life. The Giza pyramid is like it's.
I
You
gotta
know,
see it.
Hofu was like, "Hey, fuck my father. I don't give a fuck about this guy. I want the biggest pyramid you know. I want bigger and better than he has.
Of
You
course,
know."
these people were fucking. They were crazy. You know what I mean? They were out there like they had to be the best. And this, it's
Yeah,
yeah,
but you
it's
know, who's
unbelievable.
the you know Nefertiti and all the other were all buried in the Valley of the Kings. You know, that's where they dug out of the stone the
Of course,
catacombs
that's just
and
it.
did all. That's
Yeah,
pretty amazing, how they would just constantly keep chipping and chipping that out.
wow.
That had to be so arduous and so overwhelming.
And can you
But
imagine? Can
again,
you imagine building the same temple over the course of like 200 years? Like, I mean, you have generations and generations and generations of people working on the same concept.
bro, that's all they did.
Crazy.
That was their economy. That was their economy, man. You know, well, Egypt were conquerors. They really grabbed gold and exchanged a lot of things. There was the Nile River became their sanctuary because they did a lot of business. They transferred a
Of
lot
course,
of business to there.
it was their
But
hub. All of
they
this
were
shit.
smart, man. They were smart. They figured out how to irrigate the land
They were
and
brilliant. Smart doesn't come. They were brilliant,
you
brilliant
know,
people.
again, a lot of people say that you know geometry really came from the Chinese, and
Nah,
but
that's
it's
just
not
older.
true. The Chen Dynasty was, you know, they developed gunpowder, they developed a lot of other things, but it all comes from Egypt, man. They were. It's amazing. That's what I'm saying. Go when you go to the museum, you're gonna go, holy shit.
Of
You're
course.
gonna look at yeah. You're gonna look at the sleds that they built. It's insane, bro. They showed how they actually you know they have proof of it of you know because through the papyrus, of course. But again, the religion was about them them the pharaohs, man. You know that's why when KBD you know on the other times on those shows,
That was
you can't.
hilarious. That's
Yeah,
why I
you
can't
know, and I
watch
don't want
it.
to be
I can't watch
argumentative with
it.
people, but yeah, you know what? I don't want to be argumentary, but on the first show, we said they were built tens of thousands of years ago. They would have been deteriorated by now, and they weren't built by aliens. So I know he didn't go to Egypt because you know what I'm saying. Why are you saying you're doing that, man? You know, because I was there. You'll see an obelisk being chiseled out of the rock.
Sure, straight out
These
of
people,
granite.
yeah, bro, these people were fucking
Well, they still
this.
have the ones out there that cracked when they were cutting them, and they're still laying there. And it's just like, holy fuck, man!
Yeah,
Like you think
bro.
people walking on
Yeah. I could listen. I want to tell you, I built a grotto when Mukta was on the grotto. I moved with three Mexicans. They weren't big with rope,
it. You were telling me it was like a
and
500-pound stone or something like that.
it's 3,200 pounds. The stone was 3,200 pounds. I put it on my grotto. I built a grotto. We lifted it 5 foot. I built a ramp, and all I used was 6 1-inch wrought iron bars, and we rolled it 185 feet, pushed it up a ramp. We got it right on top, and with a crowbar, I shifted it right where I wanted it with the point.
Gee, you're a savage.
Yeah, so you know what I'm saying? Like, so you're taking a 3-ton stone and you have 500 people moving a stone at one time. Yeah, I could see it happening, man, you know?
Of course, I
It's
mean,
not
I've heard
impossible, yeah, but they would, bro, if you go to the fucking museum, you're
you'll
going
be
to
able
be
to see
blown
it.
away.
And
You know?
even if let's say even if it didn't happen like that, it makes sense that it could. And I don't fucking know
Well,
if it
bro,
can.
you know
I've
what
heard
it is?
tons of people
It's
say it
just,
couldn't happen. I've heard tons of people say it could. You know,
yeah,
like,
no, but you know what it is? The proof is there, you
no, I
know?
believe it. I believe it. I'm just saying it's a solid explanation. I
Right.
personally do believe that it's possible. I don't know, but I guarantee when I see it, for me, seeing is believing. I'm one of those fucking people. Like, 100 people can tell me, don't touch that because it's hot. I'm just
Right.
that guy. I'm still gonna touch it. I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I'm
You.
that guy.
I don't blame you. Yeah.
No, and that's the thing. When I die, people are gonna say, "Yo, he might have burned himself a few times, but he did it his own way. He knew for sure." So,
That's
but
right.
I like theories. I like theories, and I like having an imagination, and I like believing that there's a little bit more than what I've been told. I just I don't want to take anybody's word for it 100%, but I always pick up pieces of knowledge from everywhere I can. That's why I like
Hey,
talking to
man.
you. You're so knowledgeable on these things. It's awesome.
Well,
I enjoy doing this.
what's awesome is like we look back at the stuff that we're doing today is what Einstein was inventing in the early 40s and the 50s. He invented the laser, he invented the CD, he invented the atomic bomb.
And even a guy
But
like Tesla,
who would think that would be using a laser in a DVD or a CD? Now
wow.
he was inventing laser discs, man. Again, when you want to know something, you read, and if you have that want and that wherewithal to do that, yeah,
Cool. That's why I
that's
like
why
talking to Tesla.
when we were talking with KB about how they were doing measuring with string, yeah, that's exactly how they fucking did it, and they made knots, which became a metric system.
Course. I
They
mean,
were developing
you
that.
look at cultures, even in today's society, look at cultures that are, like South American cultures that really don't use specific tools. You know what I mean? Or like the reindeer fucking herders up in Siberia and Russia and shit. Like they do old world type shit, and they accomplish great things that like me and you could never fucking do, even with
Oh
the
yeah,
tools we
bro.
have. It's wild.
Listen, people were telling me when Israel became a state in what was it,
Yeah, that was towards
1945?
the end
I
of the
think right
world.
after the Second World War,
Yeah.
right? And Britain gave them the sanctity to be a state, but they were telling them, "Oh, come on, you're going to grow fig trees and palm oil trees in the desert." Well, you look at Masada, you're going to go buy a whole fucking field of pineapple trees and fig trees and apricot trees, and they're wondering how the fuck they're building out of this desert.
Of course.
Yeah, if you want the wherewithal to do something or know something, I'm sorry, I don't go out that much, bro. I'm more of an introvert. I if I want to do a painting, I'm going to read up. Right now I'm making a painting about the Iranian country killing 15,000 people. But
Cool.
now I'm curious to know everything about the Iranian culture because don't you think that's fucking disgusting? And that's in the name of religion, bro. This is 15,000 people being killed in the name of religion.
People always do the most horrible shit in the name of God.
Yeah, bro. Right, Brian, you're 100% right.
It's crazy.
And it's pretty sad, man. It's pretty sad.
And that shit
But
ain't sponsored
anybody
by
who's
God.
yeah, bro, absolutely, I agree with you. But anybody listening to this show for this long, God bless
That's
you.
what
Yeah, and bro, I look forward to doing this again. And again, we're going to talk about the Torah next week, so I'm looking forward to that.
I'm excited. I'm excited for that. It's gonna be good because actually, I'm very well versed. I grew up
Oh,
in.
bro, that's awesome. Maybe you can help me. Again, like I said, I'm going to give you a great and broad explanation on what I study as a religion. I know that I know a lot of general stuff about the Torah.
Sure.
You
So
know,
I grew up in a town that's mainly Reformed Jews, but I grew up next to a town that's all Orthodox and Hasidic Jews, and I've
and
had
there's nothing more. There's nothing more religious than an
no,
Hasidic Jew. So yeah.
exactly. I respect the hell out of them for how solid they are in their beliefs. You know what I
Well,
mean?
bro,
Like
you know what? You know
wild.
what? They know how to make money. They know how to collect money. But
They
guess
know how
what?
to be a
If
community.
you get married and you want to open up a store, they're going to give you the fucking money to do that.
Of course. Well, they all leave money to their estate, and that's why the Jewish religion is so strong, despite being so small.
And the Chinese are the same way. If Irish, Italian, and black people would do the same thing,
We fucking
they
rule the
would.
world.
Of course, man. One of my partners is an Irish guy. He's an Irish fan. He's my dearest friend. I know him since grammar school. But yeah, bro, absolutely. He became very religious. By the way, it's ironic to say.
See,
And
most Irish do become religious at some point in their lives because they're raised with it, and we're a culture of extreme guilt, and the
yeah,
Catholic religion loves guilt.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just gonna say the Catholic religion. You're right, bro. I know it's so fucking crazy.
It truly is. They make us feel so bad for shit we got nothing to do with. It's
Yeah,
unreal.
bro. I agree, man. Hey,
Guiltiest
but
person
bro,
in the world.
honestly,
Never done anything.
it was great. It was great talking with you tonight, man.
Absolutely.
We had a very interesting conversation, and that's what's awesome about this.
100%. I was looking forward to it because, like I said, I was like, this guy's a hyper educated individual, and I love talking to people because I love gaining
Yeah,
knowledge.
bro. And you know what? I look. I think we went through this respecting each other and not getting each other's face.
No, of course
And
not, because we didn't deny
and you
anything. We just explained what we believe and the concepts behind it. Like I said, you're
right.
hyper educated, so that's you come from a very solid ground, and I respect the hell out of that.
Hey man, you know what? I read a lot. I study a lot. If you ever saw my apartment, it's filled with books, art books,
Yeah,
and
right
a
now it's
lot.
stacked up on 6 books. Like I'm reading 5 of them right now currently. Like I'm a weirdo like that. Like all I do is watch videos and research like papers, like weird papers written by strange people. I can't remember half the shit I read. I just pick up small things out of it. But I love knowledge. If I had my way right now, I would go back to college right now. I just don't have the money for it. But that's why I'd go back to college to be an archaeologist. That's my dream. I would love to do that shit. So we'll see what happens. I think you froze up on me, Jimmy. Well, to anybody who's out there, thank you for signing in. Next week we'll be back, and keep an eye out. Probably jump up sometime this week and do another something. All right. Good night, everybody. Jimmy, if you can hear me, be good, brother, and look forward to next week. Peace.